This broadcast from IOF TV is brought to you by T-Cartor and Lumonite.
Orienteering Championships. We are here in the heart of the city to bring you what we hope will be some spectacular sprint races. I'm Catherine Bett, I'm joined by James Ackland today. We're going to start with the men's course, then move on to the women's course for the individual sprints. And you saw some pictures there of some of the terrain, of some of the parts of Edinburgh that this competition will be in all week. We had the qualification this morning that was over in Leith, where we had lots of barriers. It was quite a technical qualification by the standards of a World Orienteering Championships. That saw the top 15 of each heat make it through to this afternoon's final. And now we're based in the shadow of Edinburgh Castle, where there is a brilliant arena here. Lots of the spectators are kind of watching on the steps here to cheer on their favourite runners. It says 16 degrees there is the temperature. I think it's warmer than that because the sun is out. It's looking much, much better than forecast, and it is looking like it's going to be a really, really brilliant atmosphere for these races. And it's one, of course, that this host city has been preparing for a number of years after it was pushed back 2 years because of COVID. So a lot of the people, you know, who've been wanting to race here, they've not even been allowed to go into the centre of the city in which they live because it's been embargoed, and that means that there's been a lot of anticipation for these races as well. And we've got loads of volunteers out, loads of marshals out on the course to try and keep it safe as possible and fair for all of the athletes as well. But we have these beautiful drone shots over the city centre, a very, very historic city where this course will crisscross. We do have some very interesting control sites like this Highland Cow here that James, I think your dad has driven and had to go and pick up and take along there as well. So there's been a lot of volunteer effort to go and make it in there, and you can see some of the specific features of the city, those kind of steep slopes and everything as well. But here is the map then. We start with the men's course, and James, why don't you talk us through it?
Well, we start in the university buildings. That's New College there by the start triangle, and then two really very easy legs to start off with. That's nice as an athlete to see, but then this third control here, we'll see it in more detail soon, really tricky. This area of the city is called the Tron Square, somewhere that the athletes will be familiar with from geeking, but not an area with so many tourists. Very technical in there. Opens up into these easier legs along the Cowgate here, 8 and 9 and 10. And you might be wondering why these legs are so easy. Well, there's a map exchange at number 9, and it's so that it sets up this leg that we're seeing now, 10 to 11, a long leg up into the school, George Heriot School. And I think this could be a really pivotal leg. Picking the right route choice here, they're very hard to see on the map, and they're also not very easy to execute. Easier controls again through the school, and then back across the grass market and the Cowgate on this long leg up to 14, our second radio control, up on the Royal Mile. We then come through some technical areas just at the top of the mound, and then down towards the arena. You'll see this leg here from 19 to 20, probably the final route choice of the race. Not a huge difference between the routes here, but we think around to the left and past the arena, slightly better. And that might be a chance for someone to grab a position, grab a medal right at the very end. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. And the characteristics of this race is do you take the steps, do you avoid the steps, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and the climb in this city sprint as well, a real feature, something that as an athlete is really difficult to add another dimension to your thinking in a sprint race. Personally, I don't like it, but, but the athletes are going to have a tough time with it. It's tricky. This is just a phenomenal course, and the climb adds that extra factor.
So which one do we think is the best then on this route choice 2 to 3? These barriers mean you have to go a long way round, about 250 meters-ish.
That's absolutely right. So I think you can see with the red arrow that we just saw there is actually the best route, but there's a very tempting route up along the orange line, which takes you all the way up to the Royal Mile and back down again. Easier to execute, but there's a lot of climb, and you will lose time if you take that route. You have to twist around the Tron Square there to get into number 3.
Yeah, so running here is this route in blue. It was the route in red on the previous map, so we think this one, we've had some people out pre-running the courses, the course planners, and they think that this route is so this route is maybe 2 seconds slower than going all the way back rounds and in from 3 from the bottom from the steps.
Yeah, a major route choice leg, very tricky, very early on, and there could be time losses, almost before the race has even started.
So this just kind of gives you an indication of what these steps are like. They're not too bad, but they certainly are going to slow the athletes down. But the best athletes, I mean, they practice this. Let's get quickly onto this route choice, because this is the biggest route choice of the whole course.
Yeah, this could really matter. So this is coming back out of the school and up to the top of the Royal Mile at number 13 here. We can see the blue and the light blue routes that go back through the school grounds. These are the best routes, and the green as well. Red and orange, it's simply too slow, too far around to go to the left. The light blue route that cuts through the middle with the S-bend is quite good. And the dark blue route all the way around the right also works well.
Yeah, but we've kind of run through some of these sections here. This is actually a garden that's been opened up here, so it's very, very tricky. It's not particularly fast. We think if you take this route, you're going to lose about 5 to 10 seconds, which in a sprint could mean a big difference. And that's if you execute it properly as well. And then you have to go down all the way to this quite busy street, and then back up loads of steps, and they're all kind of grouped in these different groupings, and it is absolutely relentless. And then there's a few tricky controls at the top as well.
It's exhausting. It'll put the athletes into oxygen debt just when they don't want to be there. And also to deal with some of the tourists around the top of the Royal Mile, it's going to be really tricky right near the end of the course. Yeah,
so they go up to the Royal Mile. This is the busiest street in the whole of Edinburgh. Lots of tourists, but we do have a lot of barriers in there. There's a lot of marshals. There's 200 marshals out on this course to try and make sure that a lot of the parts that have been opened stay opened, but also for the safety of the orienteers, because we know that's a big concern that they have as well. This is the start list then, based on the results from this morning's qualification. So those who won their heats, they are starting last. One name we want to pick out there, Emil Svensk. He's one of the quite early starters. He didn't have a great qualification.
Yeah, not a fantastic qualification from Emil, but he's a very, very high quality orienteer, and I wouldn't be even slightly surprised to see him coming into an early lead. He might be sitting on that winner's chair for 10-20 minutes.
Yeah, he took the win in Alton at the World Cup as well. But let's talk about the favourites there. Maybe those ones towards the end of the start list. James, who do you want to pick out?
Yeah, as always, it's the people near the bottom. I think Martin Regborn is a real good option here. You can never look past Kasper Fosser in the men's side of things.
Yeah, defending champion.
Defending champion, absolutely. Gustav Berriman, second last time round. Maybe better at a very technical sprint like this. It could suit him. And you've also got, fast guys at the back end, Thomas Krivda, Tim Robertson, Yannick Michaels. Any of them, if they get it right, could have a medal-winning run.
And the men's class, I mean, definitely when you compare it to the women's, is a lot more open, right?
I would say so, yeah. In the women's list, you can pick out the top 3 or 4 with some confidence, but but in the men's, tricky. And we could get a winner from early on. Kasper only about halfway down the start list.
Yes, so we have the current leader in the finish, Martin Rooney, just saw there, 17 minutes and 23 seconds. We're expecting a winning time of about 15 minutes there. But let's head towards the start. Here is Nathan Lawson, one of the Brits. We had 6 out of the 7 of the Brits qualify for this race. See, a bit of an intake of breath. I'm sure there are some nerves for all of the runners, really, as they've been kept in quarantine, and then suddenly they are out into this course and they get their first glimpse. And for the men, of course, they've only got about the first 4 or 5 controls on their first map before they have to flip it over, right? So they can't do much planning ahead here.
Yeah, and they'll have seen in the bulletin that there are 2 map flips and 2 exchanges, so they won't be so surprised, but it's still a very unusual experience to only see 5 controls at the start of a race, especially in a major championship like this. Pressure's on.
Absolutely, and give me a kind of indication of some of the preparations that people like Nathan and obviously all the teams will have been doing for this race.
Yeah, well, I've been lucky to be in and around the team a little bit in the build-up to these championships. I've certainly not seen it all, though. They will have looked at these maps in enormous detail. They'll have looked at Google Maps. They'll have tried to draw their own maps of the areas. They will know Edinburgh inside out. But the planners have pulled out some tricks to make that tricky. There's barriers in places, but also the opening up of George Heriot's school in the south of the area, not something the athletes would have expected.
Yeah, it's a whole new passageway that is opened up that on all the other maps just wouldn't exist. There wouldn't be a thing, right?
Exactly.
So
there's no way you'd know about it. So that could catch people out. And all that preparation, super important, but the planners have done a great job of leveling it out.
Ruslan Glibov there next to hit the start, number 2:20, and now we're back in with the Austrian in here. This must be Janis Bonek then. So this is the control, I think, before the TV control. So we will get his first time split there. Current leader at that first TV point, by the way, Zoltán Budoso from Hungary. He's gone 6 seconds quicker than Jakub Glonek, but we can see Ruslan Glibov then out of the start. It's always interesting to watch people's techniques here, just how much they take a look at the map and how much they have to be planning ahead. Here's Emil Svensson though. Let's get his time. This is going to be super interesting, and he is 5 seconds down then on Glonek, and he looks well prepared for this route choice here. It's a good decision to kind of keep progressing through, and this is where you're going inside the school.
Yeah. This is tricky. He did
There's actually a mind your head sign here as he goes in the doorway. Yeah, some low ceilings and tricky stairs. You feel very much inside the building. It's very unique orienteering. Emil now up to second at that control after maybe a slightly shaky start in that tricky first section. Yeah, let's have a little look at the comparison of his routes then. So Emil Svensson going this kind of longer way around, but it's fast running, isn't it? It's
really quick, yeah. There's a few tourists around on some of the corners, but you can get your head down. It's easier to execute than going through the building. I think maybe a little bit slower though.
Yes. It's that balance of execution and speed and keeping your legs, because it's a very physical race as well. Here's Janis Bonek then into, I think, 9th or 10th spot then at this first radio control. And at the start, Pablo Ferrando. 5 out of 6 of the Spanish team qualified into this final. I know they're really, really pleased with that. A nation that tends to perform much better on the sprint compared to in the forest. So they really will be very pleased to have that kind of level of qualification, with only one of them missing out on this spot in the final. Only 15 spots up for grabs. This looks like Mihaly Orme, I think, here. From Hungary, based in the UK though.
This looks like it could be a good time. He's an athlete I'm very excited to see. Nasty injury over the winter, but it looks like he might be back. That's a good time.
Yeah, into 4th spot it looks there. So Glonek and Svensk actually with quite a big gap then on the rest of the field at this point. And this, as you can see, some of the athletes will be going through this passageway through the school twice as well. So they will be quite familiar with it. And I think a lot of times when you've been somewhere once before, it makes you much more likely to want to go back there again when you take your route choices. But now we can have a look. We've got quite a few barriers set up around the school here, and it means we can see a lot of the athletes heading through this section. This is Daniel Hubman though, at 41 years of age. His first sprint, what was he saying, tell me earlier, back in 2005,
when we had not invented sprinting around cities. You can go look up the map if you have the opportunity. It is quite something. But here he is, almost 20 years later, still trying to get those medals.
So he is on his way then to control number 13, Daniel Hubman. So he'll punch that control before we get to the TV split. And you can see just taking some of these barriers. This looks like a good route choice to me. You can see The control is by the branding. It's actually quite even, a lot of these route choices around here and around all of these barriers. And you can see actually just how closely he is looking at this route choice here. You can sense he's maybe slowed down a bit, but he's looking for the exit, I think, there as well.
I think he knows this is a pivotal leg. Just like Frank told us, the planner, this is a really important part of the course, and Daniel seems to have seen that.
Yeah, the course setter's been saying that he thinks this is the most decisive part of the course. And let's have that comparison then between Hubman and Svensk. So Hubman, you go through a little bar, a little cafe on that section, then through the school. But I think it was pretty good for Svensk to go round. Yeah,
it seems like it's worked out well for him. He's a fast runner, and he's made up a lot of time on that smooth route on the outside of the school. So.
Yeah, and he won that World Cup race in Alton in Switzerland, and that was very kind of fast, kind of flat or downhill running. And, you know, he knows that's his strength, to be honest, I think. So he is really using that to his advantage, Absolutely. I think, and just really been able to attack this course. Roger Sloper from Belgium, next off out of the college, really attacking those stairs. There are lots of stairs. The athletes will know this from their preparations. There's quite a good old map of this area, and it's been used a lot for like longer urban distances, but they'll all have updated their own maps. They'll have all put in this preparation, and a lot of preparation goes into World Cups, but this is the one they really want. So let's have a recap then. The standings then at split number 2. Jakub Glonek and Zoltan Budoso both in the lead. So this is the one in the school. Emil Svensk just 3 seconds down. And then a bit of a gap then to Daniel Hubman, but a big part of the course still to go. And crossing the Royal Mile, where we know it is very, very busy.
Yeah, and that's part of this course. I think you can be 20 seconds down at the halfway stage, and you're not out of it quite yet. That's unusual in a sprint race, but there's lots of opportunity to lose time if you're a favourite near the end of the course.
Okay, so we can head back towards the finish then. These last few controls in Princes Street Gardens. This is Jakub Glonek, I think, coming round this corner. The Czech athlete, here he is. And of course, has now that joint leading time at TV2, joint with Zoltan Budoso, who's just gone through that section. So this should be, if everything's gone well, a new leading time here. We think he took the slower route into the park. But look at that, that's a big gap, right?
Yeah, that is a big gap for Jakub Glonek, and we'll see him coming down the finish here, surely to take the lead.
Yeah, he's just a few metres from the line, his teammate there applauding him as he crosses the line. So a new leading time by a whopping 43 seconds. That is pretty incredible there for Glonek. 16:51 is the new time to beat.
Wow, yeah, and I didn't see that coming, that he was going to come in quite that quickly. But that kind of big gap tells you what you need to know about this course. There's lots of opportunities to make big mistakes, and I'm sure many of these early runners will have taken route choices that are costing them time. 43 seconds, a huge lead this early on in the race.
So Janis Bonek, remember he took a fantastic bronze medal in the middle distance at last year's World Championships over in Switzerland. He was on such great form last year. He's not quite had the same year this year. You can see he's already going to be, still got a couple of controls to punch, and he's going to be outside of that top 10.
Yeah, well renowned as a junior for being very, very quick. But I think, unfortunately, we see him turning here onto what I think is probably the slower route choice for this long leg.
And Emil Svensk here at the finish. It's going to be a new leading time here for Emil Svensk. Let's see what he can do. Svensk into the lead, 16:25 is that new leading time for Emil Svensk. He took a win in Alton, remember, in the World Cup earlier this year. He, for me, is actually one of the big names, and it was a surprise to see him making mistakes earlier on. So for me, yeah. There was a mistake there from Janis Bonek. He was about to go in the churchyard.
Yeah. And he's not seen the route through the school there, but he started off in that direction.
Yeah, that's why we see him so far down compared to Svensk, and Svensk has executed this one. Oh, not quite the best route choice out of there, but not bad at all.
Here's Nathan Lawson.
Here he is, the first of the Brits on this start list, and into 4th place. that he turns around and he heads down here. It's a simple route choice, but it's a lot of steps.
It's a lot of steps. I ran it earlier. He can get his head down, he can run really hard, but I think it's just a little bit too far around.
Yeah, the estimation is you can lose either anywhere between about 10 to 20 seconds on the route choice. We think, actually, so we were chatting to the course setter earlier who has designed this course, who's put all the hours into it, who's done a lot of the work in trying to open up some of the areas as well. And there's some areas that they haven't even been able to test because they've only been able to get it open for this race today. A lot of effort gone into that. Elias Jonsson then here from Norway on the start line, getting ready to head out there. All of the Norwegian team qualified for this final, so they are a team in very, very good standing, and over the last 5 years or so have developed so strongly as a nation for sprinting. We see them up on the podium semi-regularly now for the sprint relay, certainly. You can see both hands on the map, really, really looking closely. Oh.
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 Erik Langendal Breivik has run into one of the artificial barriers here.
Yeah, he nearly was about to do that. I'm just trying to pick out exactly where on the map this was.
This is around the Tron in the really difficult area early on. I think he might be going to number 6 here, that's low down. I think he may have been caught out by the multi-level feature of this.
But yeah, running into barriers here. Yeah, I think that he was at control 5, and there.
Oh, and this is a big mistake actually from Erik Langendal Breivik.
So he needs to go down to the bottom and actually underneath.
And he'll now run all the way back around. You might have seen this on his way into number 3. But yeah, this is big time loss and unfortunate for the Norwegian.
Yeah, because he's only 4 seconds down actually. And you think that, you know, he should, it's evidently been a very quick start. So despite mistakes, he's still in a good position. Let's talk about Gustav Bergman then, ready to start here for Sweden. He was second at last Sprint World Championships 2 years ago. He wasn't at any of the World Cup races, just as the birth of his second child. He was at home. So a lot of question marks for me around Gustav Bergman's form. I think he's become much better as a forest orienteer recently, but actually he had some good races at the Swedish Championships. So.
Yeah, absolutely, a real veteran of the international scene.
Speaking of veterans,
and here is Daniel Hubman
here into the finish. Let's see what he can do. Daniel Hubman is going to cross the line into 3rd place though. I wondered if it was technical enough for Daniel Hubman to do a really, really impressive run, but no, down in 3rd there.
I saw him here in the lead up to the World Orienteering Championships. We had a race in this area. He notoriously had to disqualify himself after crossing an uncrossable fence. But today, you know, not quite the redemption you might have hoped for here, but not a bad run either from Daniel Hubman.
No, actually, if you see the gaps there still on that race, to be in 3rd position for the multi-world champion, it is still pretty good to see. So 28 seconds down compared to the leader. Still the leader at the finish, Emil Svensk, 16:25. I think it'll be really tough to get down to our expected winning time today. Let's have a little comparison. Oh, and we think that it was a better route choice to go the way that Svensk did to 20. Yeah. It's further, but it's no steps.
It's no steps, and it's so quick. Smooth downhill all the way. You feel like you're flying. You can hear the arena. Fantastic route.
So we've got a couple of the athletes here. This is Joe Lynch, who's caught up Pablo Ferrando, and actually, so he will get a lot of good feedback here. When you catch an athlete, you know they started the minute before you. You know things have been going well, and look at that time. It's looking great for Lynch.
It's looking great for Lynch, and yeah, there's absolutely no better feeling than catching the man who starts a minute before you. What he's got to do now is just get his head down, refocus, and pick the right route on this next big long leg. And you can see here, both of them 2 hands on the map, getting ready to pick this decisive route. Will they go the same way? I suspect they probably will.
And you can see he's just slowing down on the approach to the control, and then he decided, and then it just kind of sped up again. And Joe's best result previously at Sprint World Championships, 38th place a couple of years ago. I think he might improve on that one, definitely.
It looks that way.
Here's Elias Jonsson then, in the small alleyways here. He's actually gone out to the Royal Mile and going back down again to the next control. I think it must be control 5.
Yeah, and this is the one time in this race where it is optimal to run down the Royal Mile. Most of the time you really want to avoid it, but this looks like this is going okay for Elias Jonsson.
Explain why mostly you want to avoid it.
Well, so partly because it's very, very busy, but also partly because of the way that the routes have been planned. Down in that east area where you start, most of the good routes do involve kind of ducking through the alleyways rather than going all the way up and down, also to avoid the climb.
Okay, let's have a look at one of the pre-race favourites. He is the defending champion, so he will really want to be attacking this course. And he's a man with a few, still I think, a few questions about his form and about his fitness this year. He did not race very well at the World Cup in Italy. Whoa, Gustav Bergman nearly overshooting the control there, but he was well prepared as to the next part of the route. I say question marks because, yeah, he didn't have a good race in Switzerland, much better on a more technical sprint in Italy, and I think it shows that his sprint skills are still on it. It's incredibly intense as we follow these runners through the alleyways. He's got to be pushing it the whole time, diving down these steps.
That's absolutely right. I think as an athlete, if you see Casper Foster on the start list, doesn't really matter what preparation you think he might have done. That's always quite frightening to come up against.
So Gustav Bergman, this is the 6th control then here. He will turn around and punch the 7th, and that is where we get the split. A few seconds down, but I guess we will still want to be comparing him with people like Svensk, who's much further down at this point, I think, as well. Yeah,
time to improve. It's probably okay to come out of this first section a few seconds down early on in the race for Gustav Bergman at the moment.
Yeah, and it's a very, very intense first section. You really have to be on it from the start, as I'm sure the athletes will have been preparing for, of course, as well. So waiting here in Princes Street Gardens for the first of the Brits to finish. Nathan Lawson then here. This is control number 20, I think. It is number 20. Here he is. Maybe not the best route to this one. Again, it's hard to tell. And you see he's already behind that time of Emil Svensk.
Yeah, it won't be a new lead at the finish for Nathan Lawson, but here we are in the arena. We can see the anticipation for the British athlete. Here he is on the home soil running this World Championships.
Yeah, really pushing towards the last control into the finish here. Big support here in the crowd. Looks like he will come into 4th spot. So Nathan working so hard here on the final stages. Will cross the line and go into 4th place here. So 44 seconds down on the current leader, Emil Svensk. It's going to be, yeah, I'm sure he'll have found that really, really tricky and really tough. Hard to get some sort of, it's hard to get, I was going to say, it's hard to get some sort of indication about how he enjoyed that. But from one Brit to another, the top Brit in the field is Ralph Street. And he, of course, took a win in the Czech Republic World Cup final last year. He's not had the best winters. He's really had some injury problems. And you remember he didn't finish the race in Switzerland, sorry, in Italy. There's too many World Cups already this year. He didn't finish the race in Italy, so because of those injury problems. But he's still, even in the test races, been very quick, and he's had good feedback from those races a couple of weeks ago.
Really bounced back well into those test races. You're absolutely right. There were some question marks. There probably still are around that ankle injury. But, you know, he's probably the big home hope for this race. Oh, and this is Casper Foster.
He's run past the control.
Another Norwegian goes into that artificial barrier, and this time he's going to go back up to the Royal Mile. He's missed the exit there as well, perhaps slightly stressed.
Yeah, this is very interesting. He just maybe wasn't looking. The control is just as you come out of underneath the section here. Yeah, interesting. So missing that route choice, I think, there for control 6. So seconds lost, but you can see actually, look how quick
he
this
had those
man
seconds
is.
to lose.
We've seen him make mistakes in the broadcast, and he is still doing amazingly well.
Goodness me, yeah. I think he'll probably come into 2nd or maybe 3rd place at this radio control. But that just goes to show in that first section, it's so technical. You know, you've got Casper Foster making mistakes, and you can still get through.
And actually, it's Zoltan Budoso, the Hungarian, who was leading at this point. We have now had him into the finish, and the reason why we didn't see him in the broadcast, he was down in 10th when he finished. So certainly had a very attacking first part, but not what you want to see on the second part of the course, certainly. So back towards the school and to the second TV control. And this looks like it's probably one of the Norwegians who we are running along behind.
Yeah, I wonder if this might be Elias Jönsson, maybe?
It is, yeah, good call. You can see him looking up. He'll look ahead to this control. and plan the next routes. And very quick start from the Norwegian.
Yep, looks like he is maybe not quite going to be in the fastest time at this second TV control, but he looks in control and certainly in contention at this little bit over halfway point.
Yeah, you can just see again, reading the map really, really very closely. I can tell he's going to go that way because he's looked that way. Yeah. It's such a giveaway for a commentator. But into 5th spot, 11 seconds down, so still within shooting distance here. Here's Ralph Street then, through the alleyways and the cobbles and the steps of this first section of the race. Looks like, so this is the 6th control. Oh,
and this looks quick from Ralph Street. I think he's going to be in the top 5 at this next radio control. Not the one we see, the one we're going to come around to in a moment here.
Yeah, but it's very, very close. There's lots of people very, very close together here. And yeah, you're gonna say it exactly.
Oh no!
Just a few seconds back.
Just dipped him on the line there, but 13 seconds down. That's not a big problem for him. And here is Gustav Bergman around
around the school.
The drive at the school, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So into the second TV set. Oh, this is looking good for Gustav here. I think this is looking fantastic for the Swede. He's defending his silver medal. He would absolutely love to upgrade that one with Gustav Bergman. And he has made a fantastic start. You can tell, I think, already that he's looking ahead to here. This is Joe Lynch, though. And this
massive response from the crowd for Joe Lynch.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going into 2nd place here, just the 20 seconds, 19 seconds behind Emil Svensk, and he should be very, very pleased with that. But Gustav Bergman, he's looking for his first ever individual gold medal at a World Championships. He's got 5 golds so far, but all in the relays. I'm not sure he's going to do it going this route choice.
I don't think this route choice is going to help him, yeah. I mean, we'll see how it pans out, but he was in a good position at the start of this leg, but I'm not sure he's got the right choice.
Let's have a comparison then with Svensk and Bergman. And we saw Svensk being incredibly quick on this route. I think it pays off for Gustav Bergman. Or maybe, actually, I think there was... Oh, no, he's gone around the wiggles of the path there. And now they split back up again into this route. So they were so close at this second TV control. It's going to be interesting to see what happens then on this second route choice as they head up to the busiest street in Edinburgh, up to the Royal Mile. These are the standings then at split 2. 3 people tied in the lead there. Gustav Bergman just 1 second behind. Emil Svensk 3 seconds behind. And for me, this is much closer than I was expecting.
Absolutely, I was just thinking the same thing. But I suppose as we move down towards the bottom of this start list where the real quality runners are, you do expect them to make fewer mistakes.
But we've had real quality runners. We've had Gustav Bergman through. We've had Emil Svensk through. Daniel Hugman as well. Like, this is, yeah, this is interesting.
Yep, it's bunching up now. And we'll see what it takes to get in front of these guys, if anyone even does.
But I think it suggests to me, and we've kind of seen a little indication of it on the tracking, that it means that we're going to have some people making mistakes. So here, you can hear the sound of the pipers. Mika Kimmler just finding the little routes down here in towards controls 5 and 6. I think control number 5. Oh, and he's stopped here. Turning back around. There we go, just at control number 5.
Yeah, and increasingly fashionable to stop and pick a route choice, even if it's just 1 second. I remember that was a tactic that won it in the women's race last time round.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a bad thing to stop and really, really check your route choices at all. Here he comes down the steps then, Mika Kimmler, but he's already behind the Finn. So dropping out of the top 10 here. You have to keep it fast, keep not very, very few mistakes. You can just see the percentage of time that people are looking at the map versus not looking at the map just shows how technical it is for me.
Yeah, you're not used to this at this level of orienteering. You like to, as an athlete, you like to just run as hard as you can.
Here's Kasper Fosser. He's about to punch the TV control number 2, and I think that's going to be a new leading time. Breivik, though, going to cross the line. This is going to be second, I think. New second best time for Erik Langedal Breivik, and Svensk in the lead at the moment. Fosser, wow, the first one to go clear of this group of 3 people all in the same time. It's just 8 seconds quicker. It's so tight. But if you think compared to what we think the route Gustav Bergman's taken, we think this is a good route.
We think this is a good route, yeah. And both of those Norwegians, Breivik and Fosse, made that mistake early that I pointed out, and it does not seem to have cost them as we come towards the later stages of this race.
So Fosse already ahead then at control 10, and him and Emil Svensson going the same routes here. You can just see the speed of actually both of these guys. We can head to one of the Aussies. A few Australians making it through to this final, which is fantastic to see as well. And Henry McNulty had a fantastic qualifier. He does...
Where's he going here?
Stop there and go a completely different way. No, that's a totally legit way to go.
That is. We've just not seen anyone take that route, but there's nothing wrong with it, I don't think.
And actually it avoids some steps as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It is worth it. So going back to standings at split 1, that is control 7, the control we just saw where Henry McNulty punched there. He's in 5th spot. Zoltan Budozo was the current leader at that point. He's out of the top 10 at the finish though. So a lot, and Breivik we know has gone into 2nd place. So Kasper Fosse, Henry McNulty as well, things they can do if they manage to execute the second part of this race very, very well, and executing those route choices that have been opened up by some of the organisers here. Ralph Street then, and he's already down on the time of Fosse though, and he's still got to put control to punch before we get the next one. He is actually going to take a different route here. They're quite comparable actually, these different routes around the school. And this one, he will go around this barrier and punch the control in the distance before we get the time. So it's going to be really interesting to see where we've seen Street lose time, because this is quite significant, and I think it's going to push him out for the fight for any medals or any top six.
Absolutely, yeah. Unfortunately for Ralph, this does look to be a little bit too far behind at this second TV control. As he takes a close look at this map, we'll see which way he takes this long leg. But I think, what is that, almost a minute behind. I don't think you can make that up.
No, there's nothing he's going to be able to do from that, and I hope we maybe find out why, because, yeah, that is... I mean, there have been question marks over his fitness and his injury. Let's have a look at the routes then. So, look to be good through here. What's been going?
Oh, Ralph gets very confused in the early section of the long leg 10 to 11. That's in that bar area that we ran through. He then does pick the right route, but I wonder if that's where he's lost time.
So do you think he maybe went up the wrong alley?
I think he maybe goes up the correct alley. No, sorry, you're right. He goes up the wrong alley. Yeah, yeah. And then gets stuck and has to come back down the way. And actually, when I pre-ran it, I did the same thing. So.
I'm going to leave a few question marks over that, because it's so hard to see. It's so narrow. The GPS tracking is struggling, but it means that we have a technical race though, so maybe we'll try and get some word from Ralph about what has happened there, because yeah. that is certainly disappointing for the home fans to see. Gustav Bergman then on his way towards the finish. So here he is, you can just see him coming through in the distance there.
We think that's not the optimal route to this control.
Yeah, I agreed, and actually this could be, I'm not sure how long he's got left, but 30 seconds. I think he could be a little bit slower than Emil Svensk then here.
Yeah, I think he might struggle to make up this ground. It's going to be pretty tight, though.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tight. I'm sure it could see him in the top 2 here. This is a second to last control. There's a few just in Princes Street Gardens here, but the time is running out, I think, here for Gustav Bergman. He is not going to be fast enough. He's going to pump his arms really hard. What is the time going to be then for Gustav Bergman compared to his teammate, compared to Emil Svensson? Oh, I think he's going to be just late. Second place then for Gustav Bergman, 1 and 2. He congratulates his teammate straight down on the leader's chair.
That's not where he belongs today, though.
So Sweden 1 and 2 in this men's race. The man on the right there, Emil Svensson, still our current leader.
He lost it, like I said right at the start, on that 90-20 final route choice. Possibly decisive between the two Swedes there.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be lots of analysis to unpick after these routes, definitely. But yeah, not very, very tight in it. And Gustav Bergman just edged out. Mika Kirmala then here. We saw he was already down on that first TV split, wasn't he? And not too much further down here, but again, he needs to be much closer to that time of Fossa to get a good route, kind of position at the end, I think.
Yeah, more or less matched the leader's time between those two TV controls, but the time was already lost early on. He's running out of time now to pick those seconds back up as he heads down into the grass market. He has got the right route choice here, though.
Yeah, we think it's the right route choice. Certainly from the indications for those pre-running. Basically you don't quite drop as far and then have to go all the way back up again. Francesco Mariani here, the Italian, ready to head off. You see he's got a WOC title, a Junior World Champs title to his name. Lots of potential, this Italian athlete, and he is about to head out of the start. That means we are getting close towards the business end of this start list. The last few starters going to be heading off in the next few minutes or so. This is Thomas Hakeler, one who has made a big impact recently. That's absolutely right. Thomas Hakeler coming onto the scene and picking up some fantastic results. He was second in the first World Cup individual sprint earlier this year. Do you think this is the terrain for him? I'm not sure. I think he did so well in Switzerland, but where it was kind of about being really, really fast. It wasn't quite as technical with these small alleyways here, and not as many like intricate route choices. There were route choices, but not intricate like these ones. And he certainly struggled a bit more in the race in Italy, where we saw a lot of people struggle actually as well with a very unusual terrain. So I would be happy for him to prove me wrong, absolutely, basically. Yeah. If there's one thing he is, though, it's very, very quick. And we see him coming in here in a very respectable time at the first TV control. He's certainly not out of it yet. And if he's in that kind of position coming down towards the finish, well, he's got the legs for it. He's also European bronze medalist as well, so but on a race again, which was quite flat and fast. So interesting to see. And here again, a very, very interesting new name, very, very young athlete, just into the senior ranks. The Frenchman Matthias Baravaye is had a fantastic qualifier, and he was 23rd in Alton in Switzerland, but made the semi-final in the knockout. So definitely one to watch. Yeah, fantastic to see a young athlete coming up so quickly, and he qualified unbelievably well this morning. It's easy for me to tell you that because he's got a very late start. Yeah, exactly. So qualified well means he's going to have that late start. So Kasper Fossa then here in towards the finish. What has the Norwegian champion managed to do? Questions about his fitness on, he is down then on this time of Emil Svensk. Kasper Fossa is going to be outside the top 6 here at the finish. He is a defending world champion. He's not had the best of winters, and look at that time from 15 to 19. And he was leading at the second TV control, so a big loss there, somewhere in that kind of last third of the course, and he comes in. Nice scout for Nathan Lawson. Yeah, so into 8th place then, 48 seconds. Congratulating Emil Svensk and a shake of the head. Let's have a little look if we can see what happened. So 16, no problems. 17 there as well. Looks like he's still ahead of Emil Svensk here. Out and then back into 18. It's hard to see where the time is lost here. My Swedish lip reading is not quite... Oh, hang on. He has missed the... Oh, dear. Hang on, what? And then he came back up? He's gone down the mound, which I think is actually entirely out of bounds, and he will have had to come back up again. Ralph has done the same thing. I'm just looking back in the tracking. Ralph Street has done the same thing. The gap to get into that open area that you have to take is very narrow, and it looks like you might be able to get in at the north end, but you can't. You know what? I did exactly the same thing when I was looking at the maps when we first got them. I thought, but they should have... This is a weird marking on the map. They should have done this, but... You have to see this really small gap on the grass. Oh, yeah, okay. Very, very interesting. Yeah. And I wonder if we'll have more casualties because of that, because he was ahead of Svensk, clearly ahead of Svensk there. Absolutely, yeah. And he's lost a lot of time right at the very end. Yeah, very, very tricky, just not understanding the map. And it's at the very end of the course. We know it's when people are very fatigued as Xeli Rohala goes through into 17th place. They got half a minute down. So very disappointing there for Fossa. Yeah, that is not the result that he came to Edinburgh looking for. He'll go again in the knockout sprint and the sprint relay. So I think Ralph Street did exactly the same thing here. And yeah, he's going to be down because of it. He's going to be outside the top 10. Certainly mistakes then here, but between 9 and 11, the biggest mistakes here. That was on the long leg, the long route choice leg, certainly.
He did, yeah. Disappointment probably for Ralph there, but another fantastic reception into the arena from this partisan home crowd.
Thomas Krivda, our fourth to last starter, then the best of the Czech athletes, and he heads out on his course, ready to take to the streets of Edinburgh. Of course, he has better results, I think, from, well, good all-round results, but he took 4th place in the long distance last year in those World Championships. That was his best result, his best individual result. Oh, nearly crashing into people there. This is Matthias Baravaye. Lots of people wanting to try and head into that out-of-bounds section. But the Frenchman here, he's still got a couple of controls to go before we get the punch on the time. Going to be interesting to see what he's managed to do.
And that time of Emil Svensk is still the lead at the finish here. And actually, we can see in front of us here, very few runners out there at the moment, even coming particularly close to it at the intermediate controls.
Yeah, it all fell apart for Foster on the route down to control 19. Baravaye, again, is within touching distance, I think.
Absolutely. Yet another athlete who set himself up in a position where it could go either way from here. Slightly slower there than some of the other names we've seen, but we don't know too much about his run coming out of that first section around the Tron Square.
Thomas Hakeler, this is looking good here for Hakeler. If he can execute this race, he's probably going to be comparable with his time from Foster, and we know Foster's made that mistake, so...
Yeah, he's going to probably punch his control ahead of that leading time of Emil Svensk, maybe a little behind Foster and Glonek. And yeah, if he just continues to execute like this, well, maybe this could be his day.
Yeah, it could absolutely be his day. That's a very strange route from the person behind him.
A very unlikely route from, I think it was an Australian vest we saw there.
I think it was, absolutely.
Is that Brody Nankovich?
Could be, but Hakeler...
Oh, a big hesitation from Hakeler. He's stopped in the grounds and recommitted to that route, but it is the slower route. So could this be where he starts to lose time, or has he just got the legs for it today?
Yeah, I think it's mistakes that have lost people time more than route choices from what we can see. But Hakeler there ahead of Svensk all the way through this section, but then heading back out what we think is the slower route here. Yeah,
we don't know that for sure. This is very, very close now between Hakeler and Svensk. I think if Hakeler had gone the same route as Svensk, you'd be pretty confident that he was going to get up to the Royal Mile ahead of him.
Tino Pulsini just through there. Fantastic start from the Swiss runner who made such great runs in the World Cups and has earned his selection for the races here. Bit of a changing of the guard in the Swiss team
Absolutely,
at the moment.
yeah.
No Matthias Kibberts. He's focusing on running in the Olympics.
He's got some road race coming up in Paris, I think. But Tino Pulsini, young athlete, teammate of mine at Cert Italia. Excited to see him performing as well as he is, making that step up to the very top of international orienteering.
Here's our second to last starter, Tim Robertson then from New Zealand. As you see, Thomas Krivda just checking the routes here, just stopping there out of control, number 5. Henry McNulty coming in towards the finish at the moment, but Krivda looking good here. And we remember we get the time check at not the next control, but the control after. You have to absolutely slam on the brakes. I'm not sure that is as good though, going through this way.
There's big support there for Henry McNulty coming into 5th place. That's a good result for the Australian at the finish now. We'll see how he can hold on to that.
So I think Thomas Krivda has made a mistake on that section because he'll have gone over this bridge and actually then he'll have to come down and round, whereas he could have gone down those steps that you could see.
He's made the mistake that I thought Erik Langendal Breivik had made, and this is going to lose him some time. But actually, it's been such a fast start for him. He's going to be another one in that sort of 15 to 20 seconds down range. Not quite over him just yet.
Yeah, but he's definitely lost time on that route choice just on this control. But into, where was he? Into 16th place.
16th, yeah.
There. Here's our last starter then, Yannick Michels, winning his heat. He is the defending bronze medalist. He would absolutely love an individual title. It's missing off of his list. He's one of those orienteers, actually like Tim Robertson, who really commits to the sprint. I mean, he doesn't race very much in the forest. He does occasionally, things like some of the big international relays, but he is a sprinter through and through, and this discipline definitely suits him, those longer distances compared to the knockout sprint, so he's got great kind of technical form as well.
This will absolutely be the main focus of his season.
Yeah, Martin Regborn then here, he is actually one of our big favourites. He's had a fantastic season so far. He was 3rd place in the first World Cup round in Switzerland. He was 2nd in Italy, so being on that podium in 2 very different races just shows what kind of form he's in. But is he?
A little hesitation there.
Well, I think he's stopped and he's going to come back down these stairs. Let's have a look.
I don't think he'll lose too long. No, it looks like he's okay.
Yeah, so just overshot that by a metre or so. He had to turn back, but I think it was definitely better to turn back rather than to keep going, which is what we saw from Krivda. So Regborn actually dropping down a little bit here. But
yeah, not quite the efficient style that we're used to seeing from the Swede, but, well, keep watching. I don't think he's out yet.
No, neither do I. Equal time then with Krivda. And we can go back, see some of these other sections through the garden here, through all of these little out of bounds kind of sections of flower bed. And we get this GPS tracking shot of the athletes as they go through towards the kind of 10th control. I think that was Polsini who we saw there on the drone shot, but Baravaye, the Frenchman, has continued his great starts.
It does look that way, yeah, as he comes towards this second TV control. Looking at the map, a little less than some of his... Oh, here we go. Now he's really into it. And which way is he going to go out of this control? He wants to go right, we think, and he's fully stopped by the cow. He's still thinking about it, and now he picks what we think is the better route choice, although there's many different variations of it.
I was going to say, there's still a lot of micro route choices you can make here, so I don't know. There's still lots to play for. Here's Tim Robertson throwing himself down these steps, and you have to do that. You actually have to run with no fear.
Yeah, these guys are terrifying to run with if you see them in full flow, just as much in the sprint terrain as the forest. Tim Robertson, I think, some illness concerns coming into this championship, but this looks like a pretty respectable start for the Kiwi.
Yeah, lots of people on that plus 17 seconds. Yeah, he's not in the best form of his career either, but a pretty decent start. This is Tino Polsini then, one of our Swiss athletes to watch. And actually, wow. Wow.
I saw before these championships the Swiss have said they want to win 3 medals here. That's quite ambitious, 1 less than Great Britain got last time. Here's Polsini though, and he might be putting himself in contention for one today.
Yeah, he really could, because remember there's a mistake from Foster, so he may be leading at this point, but he's not leading at the finish. And Polsini looks fantastic and very well. That's one of the best I've seen coming through there.
Yeah, he looks really on it. This is exciting stuff from Polsini.
He looks really relaxed as well, as we see Yannick Michels going through here towards control number 5. He's got to find the right little alleyway down here into the next one.
Easier said than done, counting those alleyways. They come out of nowhere, really, with all the shop fronts as well. But he's done fine there. He'll know Edinburgh. He ran here in Race to Castles 2014.
And actually, he's on his way to the 6th control. This is a good route here, though. And we'll catch him coming back down the steps and punching the control just on the very right of picture there. There he is, Yannick Michels of Belgium, the last starter then today. So once we see him go through the controls, he is the last person to watch. And
quite some time behind that, still leading time through the first TV control of Vuidoso. He'll take that title back with him today at least. And that's an interesting route. I think that's what we saw Henry McNulty do earlier.
And we think it's good as well. Thomas Heikeler, I thought he was going to match it. I thought he could be on for a winner today, but he is already behind the time of Emil Svensk. So Svensk, Bergman, safe in the top 2 for now. Can he get into 3rd place, the Finn? He has been absolutely brilliant in the sprint scene over the last couple of years, and he looks up at the big screen. I think, where does he go?
And that might have cost him the 2nd for 3rd. Gosh. I think he's lost a little time at the end there, taking the right-hand route choice from 90 to 20 that takes you down the side of the mound. That won't have been the most of his route choice, of his time loss, though.
Back to the score, TV split number 2. Thomas Krivda is behind that time of Fossa, and he has stopped here.
It's amazing, isn't it, that you see the very best athletes who qualified the best, and they're the ones most likely to stop completely still at a control. So unnatural.
Well, there's a lot of kind of coaching about make your decision before you move away from the control, because if you start moving away from the control, then it's going to influence which way you choose, and that actually might not be the best route to go. So very, very interesting. This looks like Tim Robertson here in the school. I think this is a good route choice here that he's made there. And Martin Regborn then is the next athlete we can catch up to at this split. Split number 2, we will focus on this one. Everyone's been through TV split number 1. Oh, Regborn looking very, very good here. Again, he was quite a few seconds down. He was 17 seconds down at TV control number 1, but he has really put his foot down here.
This could be a new lead here at the second TV control for Martin Regborn.
Yeah, and with 2 Swedes leading at the finish at the moment. The Swedes have really come out to play. Again,
surely we're not going to see the Swedish 1, 2, 3.
You never know. But that is good. 2 seconds down on the time of Fossa. Fossa making a mistake on his way to control 19, just not seeing the barrier, the barrier in the right place. In fact, Adrian Delaine has also made exactly the same mistake. It's really hard to see on the map there, but but because there's no barrier there, there's no big solid big pink line, and that's why people are making mistakes. Let's check at these routes from Regborn. Looking very strong. Good to cut up through the school, and he goes back the same way, and that is the gap that he's got over the leader at the finish, Emil Svensk. Very interesting to catch those route choices as they go back through the school. They're literally going inside the buildings, down through the steps, past all the classrooms. Here's Francesco Mariani at the finish. This Italian racer. You can see how small he's folded that map up, just the amount of detail you need to try and capture in every single glance at the map.
It's a classic right at the end of the race, fold it up as small as you possibly can and focus on the running.
And he looks already to his right as he approaches that control, and he's going to be a bit slow for the win, but this is a fantastic race from Mariani.
Incredible run from Francesco Mariani, the Italian athlete.
So Mariani
reception here now.
At the finish then, what can Mariani do? At the finish, is he going to take it to third?
That time of Joe Lynch.
He is. So into third place then for Francesco Mariani. He was 11th at the World Cup in Alton. He, in fact, is a former sprint junior world champion. But Robertson, Tim Robertson, pretty decent time.
He's actually made up time on the lead since that first TV control, if I remember correctly. So he is in this race.
Yeah, but he is still in this race with only one more athlete now to come through this point. In with a shot here. So the top 3 athletes currently separated by 15 seconds. Francesco Mariani of Italy just gone into bronze medal position. And then we look back, we're going to look and see Yannick Michels next. So Robertson in ahead of Svensk at control number 10. And those check out those different routes.
That's a better route to 11 for sure. That's quick from Tim Robertson.
Oh, very, very close there. Very close. Svensk still our leader at the finish. He didn't have a great qualification. That's why he started so early on in our broadcast window.
Yeah.
But lots
nice and warm for him out on the leader's chair though today. I think he'll be enjoying himself.
He will. And let's look at our last starter, Belgium's Yannick Michels. And he's still got one control to go before we get this time. So he is a little bit down here, but not a disaster, I think.
Not a disaster, but yeah, like you say, a little bit behind. This could be 20 seconds actually for Yannick Michels that he's down here. Very, very quick Belgian athlete, but maybe not quite had the techers for it today.
Yeah, I wonder if he's had kind of quicker parts of his career where he's been a little bit speedier, but he's got those kind of routes, those processes, and he looks very good going through that section there, and still in contention in 13th place. Actually.
He's a real veteran. He knows how to orienteer, even if the stereotype maybe is that he's just quick.
yeah, I think it really, really shows that. So Michels, you can see actually maybe catching up a little bit of time on Svensk on the section there. Very, very interesting for these athletes. And we should take a look at the finish very soon, because this is Tino Polsini. What is a Swiss athlete going to do then here? Polsini, can he get the new lead? I think this is going to be good.
I think it might just be for Tino Polsini. Real excitement in the arena. This is going to be a new best time for sure.
It is a new best time. Let's get the time check. 4 seconds, and he punches the air. He throws his map in the air. Amazing, strong work from Tino Polsini from Switzerland. And he is so pleased with himself. Emil Svensk vacates the chair. He can take the applause of this, moment. And this is his first World Championships.
Wow. And he knows, you can tell he knows that is an unbelievably good run. That is surely going to be good for a medal. Emil Svensk heads away for a snack, perhaps. And we have a new man in the leader's chair.
And what a progression. If you look back to the European Championships last year, 30th place in Italy. So just 1 year later into this leading chair. And it could be good enough, to be honest.
It could be good enough. There's still some serious athletes out there, but that would be amazing for the young Swiss man.
Yeah, it really would. He took 11th place in Olten on home soil in Switzerland. One of the best, or the best of the Swiss men, with the absence of Matthias Kibberts, of course, as well. And we thought this was going to give the selectors a bit of a headache, actually, as which of the team were going to do, especially as, you know, they're now counting on some kind of new talent to make this World Championships team. And
there's a big roster of Swiss athletes as well, some of whom obviously couldn't make the cut. No Fabian Abersold, for example. So yeah, these young athletes all kind of fighting for spots within the Swiss team. And if you get in the Swiss team, well, you might be up the top of the World Championship list as well.
Yeah, you absolutely might be. So there he is, getting congratulated here. And this is Martin Regborn, though, because I wonder if he's going to be able to spoil the party. I think this looks like a good route here. He's almost going to go past the finish into this control. This control you can just see in the distance, and he's got 2 more before he comes towards the finish. And Martin Regborn is really, as the third to last starter, he was one of the ones we wanted to watch. He's been so consistent in his running. He's, of course, very well prepared. He's actually taken a whole minute on Thomas Krivda.
He's caught Thomas Krivda.
I mean, dropped Thomas Krivda. Oh my
word, would you look at that time? Wow, the Tino Polsini party might be over here. He's caught a minute on Krivda.
Okay, let's talk Regborn in towards this finish then, because this looks absolutely brilliant for the Swede here. We've seen the Swiss come in to take a new lead, but Regborn, look at this gap here then on this course. He's been super consistent in the sprint this year, and I think he goes one better. He got a third, he got a second at the World Cup. Now possibly the win here. Well, maybe it's still too early to say. Tim Robertson still in with a shot.
I can't quite believe that. He was 20 seconds down at the first TV control, and he's come back 24 seconds in the lead.
He's just paced that so well. I don't think he knew what was going on there. Gustav Bergman's just told him he's in with the lead, and gives his teammate a hug there, because Martin Regborn in the lead here. Could he be the new sprint world champion? We'll find out in only a couple of minutes, as we've got the last 2 athletes heading down towards the finish now. Very shortly. I can tell you Robertson's made some good routes towards the end, but ooh, strong work there. Not great from Krivda into 21st equal. Let's have a look. This is a mistake we've seen a lot of people make.
And that's where he loses that minute. Well, maybe not all of it.
It's so strange to see this hash without a pink barrier, a big solid barrier, and that means I think it's really hard to see this small gap in the fence towards the yellow. You just feel like you want to run, and obviously you can kind of see the gap where the stairs, where you leave the road and where you go down on the stairs. Yeah. It's very tricky.
It's tricky. It's fair, but it's tricky.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You say it's fair. I probably think it is as well, but I think there will be some question marks.
There will certainly be discussion about it, for sure.
There will definitely be discussion about it, because it's something we don't often see as an area marked out of bounds without there being a physical barrier in place. Tim Robertson, what can Tim Robertson do? He's taken some pretty good routes.
He is behind the time of Martin Regborn, though.
He is, though, not going to take the win here, but he's got a big gap back to second. So Polsini in second. I think it's still Svensk in third place at the moment. And it's going to be outside of the top 3 then for Tim Robertson from the Kiwi. But He has not had the greatest of winters, and I think he should be really, really pleased with
it's
this.
a great run in the greater scheme of things for Tim Robertson. Not quite to be a medal for him today, but that is a strong performance. He will just come in, maybe on the same time as Francesco Mariani.
No, but top 6 though. Top 6 we count as a podium position here in orienteering. Got medals for the top 3, called a podium for the top 6.
Quite right.
And,
Yannick Michael's still to come though.
Yeah, Yannick Michael's our last starter. He is at the 19th control. He's been to the 19th control. He's not made that mistake that we've seen from Krivda, from Street, from Fossa. So still one athlete still to come, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be good enough for Martin Regborn.
I think it is. Medals for Regborn, medal for Tino Polsini. We don't know what colour just yet.
Yeah,
maybe Svensk will hold on to.
Yeah, they've definitely got those medals there. And we wait then for our last starter, Yannick Michaels from Belgium.
Just highlight Daniel Hubman as well, top 10 position.
At the age of 41.
Incredible stuff, yeah. And when he finished, we didn't say much about it because it wasn't a new best time, but that is a serious run from the veteran Swiss.
And yeah, Nathan Lawson, I think, should be happy with their top 15 there as well, but Casper Fossa down in 16th. That was a mistake on the way into control number 19. Here's Yannick Michaels. We'll soon catch up his time, get an indication of how he's doing compared to the others. Our last starter then, top qualifier, the Belgian, who is defending a bronze medal here, actually. Won that 2 years ago in Denmark. Very different course, but you can see, actually, there we go. He's already outside, and he will be outside the top 6 then as well. Slower than Robertson here. So we can hand that medal to Sweden's Martin Regborn. Amazing result from him. Second place for Tino Polsini, third place for Emil Svensk.
There it is. What a run from Martin Regborn. Michaels comes in just behind Daniel Hubman. And, well, what a day of racing this is turning out to be. Obviously, the women's still to come. But some surprises in there. For me, Casper Fossa, not even in the top 10, probably the surprise of the day.
Yeah, the surprise of the day, definitely. It's still, I think you still see those kind of top names coming out, obviously minus those who've made mistakes, but Martin Regborn's been so consistent in sprint this year, having 2 podiums. You just thought he was odds on to do it again, and absolutely he has, and executed really well, developed really well through the race, paced it really, really well, because there was a lot of physicality, I can tell you, in that second part of the race. His first ever medal at a World Orienteering Championships. His previous best result, he had 7th place. So this is his first ever medal on a World Championships, and what a way to start it off with a gold medal result.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Martin Regborn, your winner today, ahead of Tino Polsini and Emil Svensk. A word for Emil Svensk, actually, who had that early start. He's bounced back unbelievably well from that slightly disappointing morning qualifier to come third. I'm sure he'll be pleased with that.
Yeah, he did the job to make it through to the qualifier, but yeah, otherwise, I had to bounce back from, I'm sure, disappointment. Great to see the Kiwis and the Aussies in those top 10. We've absolutely got to shout out Joe Lynch, Tim Robertson and Henry McNulty there in the top 10. The Southern Hemisphere athletes have seriously been putting the work in, and that's absolutely reflected. They've got a big amount of support here. Actually, a lot of the teams travel over to Europe during the European summer, and absolutely quality work.
Yeah, and that's what this sprint-only World Orienteering Championships does. It brings some of those nations with perhaps less of a traditional historic profile in the sport into their own, and that is fantastic to see from the Kiwis.
Okay, let's have a look then at the tracking. We can compare the different routes here. Good starts then on this first part, and we can see the different routes being taken here. You have to take this GPS with a pinch of salt, though, because it's really hard to get GPS tracking in amongst all of these alleyways. Yeah, struggle to see exactly what's happened, but I'm sure we'll find out more of it in the post-race analysis. You can see, though, just the diversity of route choices available, and that explains why we had that wide spread at that 7th control. And actually, the results at the 7th control tell us really very little about what's going to happen at the end of the race. Yeah, because you can take kind of worse route choices here, but then still end up okay overall, I think. You know, you're not going to lose too much time by bad route choices in the first section, but you could lose a lot more time from bad route choices in this second section.
You see there Svensk losing time to that 11th control. He's done well, really, really well, actually, to medal after using that route choice.
Let's check the route choices here, because this control 15, very, very interesting. Do they all go the same way? No, not quite. But actually, we think these two routes were actually pretty even from the pre-runners, and actually the best two routes.
Yeah, no surprise there that the top three took the best routes, although they did take different ones within that set.
And then executing from Regborn, fantastic work, I think, on the top of the Royal Mile, just kept that physicality at the top of the steps, and look at that, quite a big gap on the rest of the field as well. Let's hear then from the new sprint world champion, from Martin Regborn.
And I'm here with Martin Regborn. Congratulations, Martin, on your first World Championship title here. How does that sound, Martin Regborn, World Champion?
It still sounds unreal to me, really.
And it seems to be quite a tricky course out there. Many short legs in the beginning, a lot of map flips, a lot of barriers in the terrain. How well was your feeling out there?
Yeah, we were prepared for that. It would be very tricky. So I didn't feel that I ran very fast, but I felt in control all the time and took my time for the route choices. Some small hesitations, but it was really tricky. It was a really good sprint course, I think.
Did you have a feeling you were running for a gold medal out there?
I had absolutely no idea how good my routes were. I mean, they felt kind of good and I had a good feeling, but I was always afraid that I missed some small gap somewhere, and that cost many seconds in this kind of sprint. But I think I made good routes all the way and I didn't do any big mistakes. So.
And you're leading the World Cup after some great performances in this spring. It could seem like you've taken a step up in sprint races. Do you share that opinion?
Yeah, I worked this winter. The WOC has been my primary goal for this year, so I haven't really trained for the forest at all, except for some selection races and relays home in Sweden. It's just been focused on sprint and hard surface running and some track running as well. So I've seen on my track times that I'm faster than previous year, so I knew I was one of the guys that could take a gold with a really good performance today.
We've only just begun these World Championships. There are 2 races left. You're running both of them. What are your thoughts on the sprint relay and the knockout sprint later this week?
I don't. It will take some time to reflect on this now, and then tomorrow I'll start thinking about the other races. I think it will be too much otherwise. But yeah, I have great expectations for the races to come as well.
You should have time to celebrate, Martin. Congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
Been able to take that one, a huge goal from him, as it is really for all of these athletes, these World Championships, all of the season, all of the winter, all of the World Cups, building up to this, and he just put together, he's been so consistent this year, and he's put together another fantastic performance. Yeah,
like you say, this race really is the one this season, especially within the World Championships, the individual sprint, perhaps the most prestigious. But I think you're right. I don't think he knew when he finished that he'd run that well. I'm not even sure he really knows now. That interview, he seemed quite surprised by what's going on. Phenomenal run from Martin Regborn.
Yeah, so let's have a recap then of the top 3. In 3rd place, Emil Svensk. Again, he's been so strong this season. 2nd place, well, I was going to say maybe a surprise, but again, one of the best Swiss men at the moment, and just pulled it out on the day. He was so pumped to take that one. But Martin Regborn, with very kind of familiar running style, being congratulated by his teammate Gustav Bergman at the finish then. I don't think he quite realised that it was going to be the win for him. Amazing, amazing work. And
there's a man to hear about it from, though.
Yeah, exactly. Nice to hear about it from your teammate, but from the tracking, it looks like you had good route choices and great physicality. You had so many steps to climb up towards control 15, and then he could just still have the brain, still have the legs to do some very tricky technical navigation at the top of the hill. Very, very incredible. So Emil Svensson here, we could do this. This is the flower ceremony before we have the results officially confirmed. We award our athletes some flowers. So 3rd place for Emil Svensk, 2nd place for Tino Polsini, and the win then, Martin Regborn.
And you can see what it means to him, and also to Tino Polsini. I noticed there, I think he's really, really quite excited to have made this big step up.
Yeah, a really, really big step up for Polsini particularly, but Regborn as well, just taking that small step up and ultimately taking the win here today with loads and loads of confidence. Luckily, he's got a rest day tomorrow before we go to the knockout sprint. But there you have it, the top three. Again, nations that are very dominant in orienteering, whether that's in the forest or in the sprints, coming out on the top in what is always a very, very open race.
Sweden and Switzerland on the podium. No new stories there, but some new faces. And also, like you say, fantastic performances just a little further down. Francesco Mariani as well, of Italy in 5th. I mean, that's not a country you see in the top 6 very often at the World Championships. A fantastic run from
No, and if you look, we've got Sweden, Switzerland, Italy and New Zealand in that top 6. Amazing work. Right, we've had one brilliant race. We're going to go on straight away to the next one, to the women's course, because we have a whole new set of runners to take to the streets of Edinburgh. It is a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. It does mean the tourists are out, though, especially on Edinburgh's most famous street, the Royal Mile, which leads up to the castle. And we know some of the runners are actually quite nervous about this. But it means we have some great spectating here, and hopefully a few of those Edinburgh locals or Edinburgh tourists will have been able to catch some of this orienteering as well. So the length of the course for the women is 3.8 kilometres. We had a long winning time for the men, 16 minutes 25 is longer than the expected winning time, which was quite long anyway, of 15 minutes. A lot of climb, those 70 metres as well, and it's going to be very, very fast and furious. Again, so a little bit different map towards the men's. James, why don't you talk me through it?
Yeah, so no map flips, I think, if I remember that correctly, in the women's course, so slightly less unusual in that sense. A shorter section through Tron Square to begin with, but no less technical. These controls are still really hard. You see 2 to 3, that route choice from the men's course was pretty pivotal there, and I think could be again here. Once again, they come down into the Cowgate. Map exchange at 7 they do have, and again, this is going to lead into this long leg up from the Cowgate. It's a pretty big climb, actually, up into George Heriot's school to number 9. And from there, we will see a couple of short legs, which will be pretty familiar from the men's race. 10 to 11, slightly different. There is the opportunity of a route out to the left. I'm not sure it's very quick, but we might see some athletes taking that before this long leg again. 12 to 13, crossing the grass market. And this is the same leg, in fact, that we saw the men run, so we assume therefore that the same route choices will be good. Shorter section again at the top of the mound, this area perhaps where the tourists are at their greatest density before we drop down into Princess Street Gardens. 15 to 16 we saw some positions decided by route choice there. Left definitely better than right, but only by maybe 3 or 4 seconds. It's not huge. And then into the finish.
Yes, so a map again where you've got to look at the climb, you've got to look at the steps, you've got actually some routes like this control 2 to 3 where there's a long way around actually, where you've got to go either left or right or S bend as well. And this, it looks like the red one is best, with the blue one not too much worse.
Yeah. Tricky route choices all around here, and actually to take nothing away from the men's course at all, but I wonder if the women's course is even slightly better here. It really gets all of the main features of the men's course and just less of the technical section around the Tron and the top of the mound.
So Edinburgh, not quite as rainy as this today, very, very different weather, but it gives you kind of an indication of what these tiny little alleyways look like. You have the barrier there, not quite in the picture here, and then you've got to go around the bottom with the cobbles. Not great to run on even in the dry. Then underneath the bridge there, which you just saw over the top, then you can either go round to the right or you go up to the left here, and then you go up these steps and then back over the bridge, which you can just see in the left of the picture, over to the control. And it just means it's very easy to get disorientated, right? Yeah,
you just turn around so many times in this short period of time. We had very similar features to this in the qualification this morning. Lots of athletes seen standing around trying to regain their bearings. You know, possibly some athletes even using the compass in a sprint race, which we don't see so often.
We can go back then to the kind of second of the really big route choices here, pretty decisive then, and kind of they group into 2 sections. Either you go left or you go right. So right goes through this new passage where they've opened up. You literally go inside the school, and then the green or the dark blue are pretty good from that. Red and orange a long way down on the steps and then a long way back up again. This is a little bit of what those steps look like, kind of come in groups. Some of these athletes will absolutely fly
Here
down
we see
them.
Alistair Pedley as the free runner showing us how you can descend those steps, but I hate to say it, but I think perhaps Tino Polsini and Martin Regborn might have taken them a little quicker.
Yeah, I have a feeling absolutely, they will be trying to throw themselves down those steps, and then you've got to go all the way back up again. And that's what is so tricky about this route here, this orange route, and the red route that we saw on the previous picture is you go down and then you go up so far here. There's a flight of stairs here, then you turn right and left, another flight of stairs, and then there's another flight of stairs before you get up to the top as well.
That climb, frankly, disgusting.
Yeah, here's our first two finishers then, Filipa Rodriguez and Gabia Riza-Tito. Riza-Tito being the faster of those two. They're just crossing the line into the leading spot. And it was all based on the qualification, the ordering then of this final. So these are the athletes who just scraped through into qualifying. And those two are our first to finish. Here's Charlotte Ward then, one of the British athletes going through the first section, but 44 seconds down at the moment. That's quite a big gap.
It's down, though, on the time of Carolyn Olsen, who did take the fastest time to that first control, but has lost a lot to the second TV control, we can say.
Yeah, I really want to know what's gone on here, because she's 2.5 minutes down on Anna Drickel, the Norwegian who's gone through in the lead there. This must have been a big mistake here from Olsen, because she lost, well, she's lost 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Quickly at the start then, this is Fiona Bunn. She studies here at Edinburgh University. This is one of the Edinburgh University buildings. She studied here for a couple of years. She has not been able to go into the centre of her own city because of the embargoes for this races, and she is going to be incredibly excited. She's English, but she's pretty much home soil for her, living in Edinburgh for the
we'll let her in as an honorary Scot for the day. I think she'll be very excited to be here. Like you say, had to work around that embargo for many, many years now. Since moving to Edinburgh.
Hannah Müller then into the lead, I think the only German to make this final, but Hannah Müller currently our new leader at the finish.
That's quite right. And we're also waiting for Anna Dierkorn, as we said, has that big lead at the second TV control. I hadn't quite spotted just the size of the mistake from Carolyn Olsen, and also actually the size of the lead for Anna Dierkorn, who has had some good results this season, third in the second World Cup.
Laura Robertson next to start, the Kiwi. Her brother was Tim, and she's actually based in the UK, based in Yorkshire, and you know she's been posting some great results also so far this year. So a Kiwi, but near enough home soil for her. Yeah,
another one that we might take on as our own for the day. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Laura Robertson also lived in Edinburgh for a time, not in the most recent years, but she might know some of the city. As we see her leave New College here.
And you can see already folding that map up, taking a look there as she heads outside of the college. This is Fiona Bunn, Edinburgh University athlete, on her way down then here. She's about to punch split control number 1. And I wonder if she's going to turn back up the hill. She does. And
that is a good time from Fiona Bunn.
Yeah, a great start. Only those 7 seconds behind Olsen, and we know that Olsen has made a big mistake somewhere.
She's ahead of Anna Dierkorn, who's second at the TV control, and of Hedvig Gidesen, who's come in since then. Into second at that control. A few athletes now putting in times not so far behind at second TV control.
So yeah, a great start from Fiona, was part of the Junior World Champs medal winning relay team. But let's head out then. Our first look at TV2 for the women's course. For the women, this is control number 12 then. So this is number 11 is just coming into your picture there on the right hand side. It's Kuk Keita from Lithuania. As you can see, it's just slower than that time of Dierkorn and Gudesen. A word quickly on Anna Dierkorn, who took her first ever World Cup medal in Italy. A bit of a shock there in what was quite an open race, but strong work from her, and it shows that she's in good form on a technical race.
Absolutely, and another technical race again here today. I wonder if she might be our early lead. And in fact, if she is our early lead, I think she might hold on to that leader's chair for quite some time. Most of the big hitters coming in later on.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see Kate's just pausing there to check her route choices. This is Lizzie Ingham. Another of the Kiwis, again, has been based in the UK kind of on and off previously. Spent a lot of time racing here and has had some major health issues as Lizzie, so it's fantastic to see her back. I think I heard earlier it's something like her maybe taking 9 or 11 World Championships in total that she's run at, so very experienced runner, and great, this time's looking
exactly, great to see her back. Oh, a little hesitation here. No, she's fixed that okay. Yeah, great to see her back and great to see her running what could be a really very competitive time here at the first TV control.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see she's just looking ahead, checking that map, and now she'll really check out this very difficult route choice. It's very easy to identify that this is going to be one of the crucial parts of the race, this choice from this control to the next one.
You always look at the long legs, and I think the athletes will have prepared as well to know that the long legs here are likely to be pivotal.
When you say prepared, what do you mean?
Well, I suspect they will have planned their own courses on this map to have a look at the types of kind of variables that the planner can play around with, whether that's obviously distance first and foremost, but also the height, the steps, the technical difficulty, maybe even the busyness of the streets, although I would say planner Frank Townley's done a phenomenal job of keeping this off the busiest parts of Edinburgh while still showing us the beauty of the city.
Well, to be fair, we haven't seen the busiest bits in the broadcast, actually, so that, you know, it's kind of it's quite deceptive actually to see that, but yeah, I still think he's done quite a good job because it is a busy city. Here's Laura Robertson then, and she is going to be quite close that time of Fiona Bunn, so into third place for Laura Robertson. A positive start.
Good start. Kiwi colleagues did well in the men's race, and we've seen 2 Kiwis looking good already in the women's race.
So could this be a new leading time for Anna Drukorn? Absolutely.
I think it might be, yeah.
This is massive then here for Anna Drukorn. It's going to be a lead by about a minute here for the Norwegian. She must be running so full of confidence after her successes at the World Cup earlier this year. She goes through the line with a new leading time, 17 minutes 35. It is early days, but she's at the moment pretty lived up to some potential there, I think.
Yeah, that's a minute lead and then some for Anna Drukorn. She'll be very excited to be leading at the moment, a class above everyone else who has finished so far. Here's Charlotte Ward coming around the top of the drive at George Heriot School.
Yeah, again, very experienced athlete now here. Has got a very, very fast athlete, and she'll wanting to be relaxed here on this race, but yeah, quite a long way down. I would say that's quite considerable down. We want to be a lot closer to the Norwegian than here on this race. You can see she's got both hands on the map, refolding the map, double checking those options, and you've got to weigh up distance, climb, ease, ability to execute, all in, you know, that distance basically.
I know, it's a short time to make your mind up about this really critical route choice, and you know this as well as an athlete. It's impossible to check every route choice to know for sure what the best route is.
Yeah, you've kind of got to go on your gut. Oh, Caroline Olsen, 4 minutes down. Oh.
Well, I don't quite know how that's happened, but this is a long way down for Caroline Olsen.
I really want to know what's happened. I worried that that maybe she got into an injury or something like that. She maybe had some troubles. That is not what she wants to hear. And she's been out. She's kind of not been on top form. It's great to see her getting back this year, and
yeah, I had her down as a possibility for the early lead. That is not a characteristic run from Caroline Olsen, even as you say, having some difficulties this season.
But some quality Danes in the field, and Hedvig Valbjørn Goodison is one of them, into second place, just 13 seconds behind Anna Drukorn. Very strong result there from the Dane, and yeah, with Ida and Malin Egvik Christensen still to come. This is a promising start. Let's have a look then at the routes here. Nobody making this mistake quite as much here. And then 2 similar routes. So this is the athletes at 1 and 2 at the moment at the finish.
You see them making that difficult decision to reverse out of number 15. It's not a natural thing to do. And in fact, we think it probably loses them a bit of time.
I think so, but the other route is further. It also goes back past the finish. I think athletes really don't like going back past the finish or the start or anything like that.
to run through those sort of features.
Teresa Yanashikova from Czechia, one who had not a good qualification. She got to control number 5, then went, oh, did I punch number 4? Went back to punch number 4, then to number 5 again. This woman has a lot of potential here in this race. She took a bronze medal at the World Cup in Olten in Switzerland, and she's got a lot of potential, in good form this year. Very experienced for still a young athlete, so we'll see. Yeah,
seriously undefeated, I would say. I think we could see her in the lead early on. Here's Fiona Bunn, a little time down on that leading time of Anna Dearcorn at this second TV control as the drone shows us the majestic George Heriot School.
You say majestic because you went there?
I do say majestic because I went there. I caught myself as I said it, but it was too late. I'd committed.
Yeah, again, maybe quite a similar time because you see the drain is a little bit behind her other shots, but she is, yeah, maybe similar time to Charlotte Ward. Not quite as quick a start. I wonder what her route choice was then through to the school. Maybe losing a little bit of time. I think she's going to be quite close to that time then of Charlotte Ward. And just checking out all her route choices here, going through the right process of evaluating each one. As well. Yeah,
Fiona Bunn, a fantastic technical orienteer. You know, suffered with injury here and there, but good to see her here at that Home World Championships in Edinburgh. And she is in the competition, running about the same time as Charlotte Ward. It'll be interesting to see which of them comes out on top in the list of Brits. Meanwhile, we've had Ana Isabel Toledo, the Spanish athlete, through in the new fastest time, actually an equal fastest time with Caroline Olsen. At the first radio control. But of course, Caroline Olsen, we saw a few moments ago coming in a long way down, so effectively a lead for Ana Toledo.
What happened to Caroline Olsen? A big mistake to 14, really big mistake.
Oh, she's gone into the churchyard there at Greyfriars Kirk. I know there were some concerns that that could end a race for someone. I don't think we saw much of it in the men's race. I'm not sure I saw anyone do it. But it does look like Caroline Olsen has been the victim of that particular route choice. It's very clear that you can't get through, but you have to read all the way through the leg to see it.
Yeah, she also made several mistakes to control number 9, and then big mistakes as well to control number 14.
I could just imagine that run back up the hill, up the steps, when you know the race is long, long gone. That's going to be hard work, and that probably explains that rather slow time at the finish for the Swedish athlete.
Very, very tricky there as Kuketa into second place. Looks like.
Does look that way. Here's Lizzie Ingham, Kiwi athlete. Now, she was in a good position at the second TV control, and she's looking pretty strong here as we come towards the finish. I don't think she's going to break that time of Anna Dearcorn, but it might be good for a top 3 at this early stage.
Yeah, great result for Lizzie Ingham. This will be, and she'll have a lot of cheers on, a lot of people coming down towards the barriers to give her some great support on the very final stages. And could she come in ahead of Goodison there? I think it's going to be good enough for the Kiwi to head into the second place. Second place then, I think.
Good enough. Takes it by 1 second.
1 second ahead of Goodison, and Dearcorn on the leader's chair.
And we'll see how that stacks up at the end of the day, but that could be yet another fantastic run for a Kiwi in this individual sprint here in Edinburgh today. Here's Ilvi Kastner, starting in New College, the Austrian athlete. Qualified well this morning.
Yeah, absolutely, and making light work of this quite a picturesque little starting moment here. Let's catch up then with Laura Robertson. One Kiwi to another. We can assess her kind of middle section of the race. A different route choice from here. I think it's only like a 1 second slower.
Not much in it, yeah. She chooses to take on this artificial barrier that ends just kind of halfway across the playground in the school. Not a bad route choice. This will not make a big difference for her result, and we can see she is about, well, she's over a minute down. And what looks like a new leading time of Anna Grohl at the second TV control.
Yeah, the Austrian got into a surprise lead here, and I think, well, we've seen some of them on the broadcast. We've seen quite a few mistakes in here, and actually, especially for the women where the difference in physicality tends to be much, much greater, it can throw up some great surprises, like Anna Grohl. Robertson then, Laura Robertson.
Oh, big hesitation. She started walking and changes her mind. Well, she's picked the right route, but took a little moment to do so there.
But you want to invest the seconds in making the route choice.
Absolutely,
it's
the right decision.
much better to lose a couple of seconds on making the decision rather than 10 seconds on the route choice.
For sure, yeah. And if it doesn't look great for the telly, well, that's all right. And here we go, a second athlete to try to get through Greyfriars Kirk. But you can see it runs into that olive green out of bounds.
And actually, there's actually just normally a gate into the school here, but they've added an extra bit of olive green onto the map here.
Yeah, just opposite the steps up onto the drive.
Just opposite the steps, so that it's more obvious in the map that you can't go there. But it's actually interesting. A lot of the women making that mistake, really.
Yeah,
and
that's the second one we've seen now.
Just shows how many mistakes we've seen already in this route. And this is only a fraction of them, I think, as well. Isia Basse, this looks like a good time for the French athlete. Of course, does have a World Champs medal to her name back in Latvia 2018 in the middle distance race. What was a race full of mistakes as well. I mean, that one was very dramatic. But Isia Basse, this looks like a good start here for the French athlete. And all of the French athletes making it through to this final. They've got to be very, very happy with that as a team.
Yeah, it's good to see from France again. You know, one of those nations perhaps that you're not used to seeing winning things, but to get all of your athletes through to the finals, great achievement. And it looks like she might be coming into a lead, or is it going to be? I think that might be, a very small lead ahead of Anna Dickon and Anna Gruhl at the second TV control, and she picks the route through the school.
Very, very impressive work. Just the 2 seconds in the lead, but she's obviously pulled up time from earlier on and is very impressive. Let's talk about Sarah Hagström as she starts her race. She has her own personal place here because she is the defending European champion. She has had 2 surgeries this year. When I was talking to her back in kind of April, she was only allowed to run 100 metres on the tarmac. She has progressed incredibly well through here and had great results at the relays as well. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how well she does because she's not in the best form. Charlotte Ward then here, she's going to be trying to look to be in the top 10, but huge gaps for the women here at the finish. She's going to be given a great ovation, but clearly some mistakes here it must be for Charlotte Ward as she goes 2.5 minutes slower than Anna Dickon, who is still our current leader at the finish. She thanks the crowd for the support.
That's good to see from the home athlete there, clearly enjoying this World Championships in Edinburgh in Scotland.
Yeah, Tilla de Smoel actually there, the Belgian, still a junior. She was racing at the Junior World Championships, into 5th there, just that 1 minute behind. Here's Jana Šíková, the Czech athlete with a lot of promise. She's incredibly fast and maybe in the form of her life so far. Would have been disappointed with the first section, but yeah, she is down.
Yeah, she's down a little bit here. I wondered if we were going to see a repeat of Emil Svensson, a slightly disappointing qualifier, but a good time at the finish. But I wonder if Jana Šíková might have made a bit of a mistake coming into this second half of the race. Yeah, this is quite a gap now to Isia Basse. So throwing up some surprises this first half of the race.
So she certainly came round the street to get to the school section rather than cutting through the school buildings. And I mean, she is down into 9th place. Not what she is going to want to do. And yeah, stopping and starting. I think I'm going to go this way. No, hang on, should I? Yeah, absolutely. Here's Fiona Bunn at the finish then, and this is a much better run for her compared to Charlotte Ward, who's managed to maintain that here. The athlete who's living in Edinburgh, at Edinburgh University. She's going to be in the top 6 here at the finish, but a whole minute, or just outside the top 6, sorry, but a whole minute down on our current leader.
Just over a minute down, but that's great to see from Fiona Bunn, running, like we said, at home. That will have meant a lot to her. I think that was a good run on the day.
I hope so. I hope she feels that way, and it's her WOC debut, her World Champs debut as well. But Anna Gruhl, we saw she had the same time as Anna Dickon at TV split number 2, so she's lost a little bit of time on the Norwegian here, but still a fantastic fantastic race from the Austrian here. This must be her best ever result. I'm sure she will be on to that one as Anna Groll is about to go and cross this line. She's just outside of the top three. The top three pretty close at the moment, but the Austrian rewarded with a 4th place, just 18 seconds down on that time of Anna Dickhorn.
Yeah, and that will slip as some of the other athletes come in, but that is a really strong performance from Anna Groll, a step up for sure.
This is pretty brutal for these women here, having to climb all the way up here to this 4th control. It's steeper than this camera makes it look, I absolutely tell you. And then she's got to turn around and go the other way again, and got to absolutely go in between all these other athletes. And this is I'd say this is a very good start here from Sarah Hagström.
This is a good start from Sarah Hagström. You said that she's had some difficulties coming into this race, and you never know with these personal slots. We saw with Isaac van Kruijswijk a few years ago. A personal slot is no guarantee of success, but this looks pretty strong from Sarah Hagström.
It does, but where you tend to see the difference in physicality will come in the last parts. Like a lot of these athletes can do comparably good runs at the start of the race, but where you've got that real fitness will show in the last few controls and that last climb up the hill as well. These are the standings though at split 1. We haven't really mentioned it much. Ana Toledo from Spain, joint lead here with Caroline Olsen at this first split, with Maria Prieto as well in 4th place there. Very, very strong start from 2 of these Spanish athletes. I know, they really enjoy this sprint discipline as well. Also got a shout out for the young athlete Pia Young Vic as well, making a good time. Here's Andrina Benjaminsen, one of, I'd say, the outside favourites. She could very well be in with a chance of getting a medal here. She is such a strong all-rounder and has really now been one of the ones who's been able to challenge the 19 times world champion Tove Alexandersson. A few years ago, it seemed like Tove was in a class apart from the rest of the field, but she is one of those athletes that's now been able to close that
put
gap.
A bit of pressure on the great Tove Alexandersson. And here's Andrew Benjaminsen, I think a little bit of time behind at this first split control 5. Like you say, we wouldn't be surprised to see her on that extended podium, but a medal would be quite something for the Norwegian.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm not as big a fan of this route choice for for Benjaminsen here, sorry. And it does, I think, push her down the results here.
Yeah, I think almost certainly, actually. The trick with this control is that number 4 is in a sort of separate alleyway that you can't get to by sort of cutting through the main part of Tron Square. You have to go either all the way up to the Royal Mile, which is a big climb, and what Andrine Benjaminsen has done, or you can reverse back out of the control. Always hard to do.
I hope we're going to see a shot of the finish, because Anna Isabel Toledo is just coming into the finish. We will say at the start, though, for Ven Lahayu, another one of the big names to watch here in this sprint.
Yeah, that is a big result, actually, for Anna Isabel Toledo. We shouldn't gloss over that. We will see how it stacks up at the end of the day, but she is 5 seconds behind the early lead of Anna Dickhorn at the finish. Just slots in front of Lizzie Engham.
Ven Lahayu, then she does have some gold medals to her name in terms of the European Championships and the long distance. She tends to be better in the forest, but I mean, that's only just by a little bit. She's still a world-class athlete, this Finn. Here's Isia Basse at the second to last control.
She had that leading time at the second TV control. How will she be doing at the finish? Oh, it looks very, very good for Isia Basse.
This is such a strong piece of work here from the French athlete, and great to see her back in amongst the leading positions. And she powers down the run-in. This will be a new leading time for the French athlete. She's pulled up even more time compared to Dickhorn in this middle section of the race. She is in good form here.
Another 20 seconds she's picked up since the school, working hard there, you saw, towards the finish, and she will take that leader's share and put a little bit of context on some of those other times we've seen at the finish already.
Being congratulated there as Anna Dickhorn will vacate the leader's chair. And yeah, she looks very happy with that. She's just going to go and download.
She is going to go and download first. Yeah. I saw that from Anna Dickhorn. Well, just check you haven't missed punch though.
Here is the Latvian Sandra Gosberger. Again, she's really kind of come into, really have a lot of solid, very consistent performances from the Latvian. Very experienced runner, been to quite a few world championships in her time, and so she'll know a lot about the preparations, the long time waiting in quarantine, because they are not allowed to see what has been going on from the athletes.
They have no idea, and you know, these girls have been sitting in quarantine for a long, long time now. So much of this race is just about handling the stress of the day.
Yeah, and being able to put together your best performance under the most challenging conditions. Rita Morosi is one of the younger athletes in our field. She was only competing at the Junior World Championships a couple of weeks ago. She is a former Junior World Champion at the Home World Championships, and she's a great sprinter as well, and already on the World Cup's been matching it against the seniors. So a lot of potential here from this athlete if she's able to kind of keep it up and keep progressing at this level.
Picked up a decent result at that Junior World Champs, but here we see a bit of a hesitation. She's changed her mind on that route choice. Not actually a route choice that makes much difference, so that hesitation will be a small loss there. Here's Pia Young-Vik.
Yes, speaking of youngsters on the scene, Pia Young-Vik, one of the new members of this Norwegian team. And again has really already quite strongly established herself as one of the younger members of the team. A little bit down here on that time from Isia Basse, who of course is our new leader at the finish. And dropping a little bit of time now, and you can see kind of the jog. She's actually running slightly the wrong way towards the control as she like looks.
You can look up across the playground and see it, but she's looking so much at the map. It's just like direction there.
And you could tell that she was going to go this way. She's kind of already decided that. She was looking ahead. She was running in that direction. Yanushikova then here in towards the finish. What will it be for the Czech athlete?
Yeah.
She's a minute down.
She has lost quite a lot of time here. I am very surprised by that performance from Teresa Yanushikova. Really one that we had highlighted as a possible early leader. Slightly forlorn congratulation of Isia Basse as she climbs into the shade of the advertising hoardings, and a shake of the head for Teresa Yanushikova.
Yeah, a shake of the head, not what she wanted at all. I think she had a lot of potential coming.
Here's Sarah Hagström. Wow.
Speaking of potential, yeah, Sarah Hagström, very untested this season because of the injuries, because of the surgery. Only goes 24 seconds ahead of our current leader.
Just a wee gap there for Sarah Hagström. She is taking what we think is a slightly longer route choice out of here, but that's time she can afford to lose at the moment. That is quite a big lead at this intermediate control point.
But now I think this route choice specifically is really going to test the physicality of her style. But we know she's been so strong in previous years. If she's done good cross-training, anything can happen.
That's absolutely right.
Back at the start then, we are in towards maybe the top 15, top 15 athletes, and Maija Sienoja is the next athlete to start in a very strong team from Finland. Again, all of the Finns qualified for this final. I would again put Maija Sienoja maybe as more of a forest athlete slightly, but
yeah, the Finns in general perhaps not renowned for their sprinting, but we have seen strong performances from the likes of Thomas Heikkilä, and we'll see how the girls do today.
Yeah, I think the whole team is really improving, and they could be a force to be reckoned with in the sprint relay, definitely. Really starting to emerge from there. Sandra Grosberger, the Latvian, a very good start. She goes equal, I think, there with Toledo. Yeah, and Olsen, of course, as well, and very equal times there. So catching up then around the school.
Yeah, on the school, this is a Norwegian athlete.
Benjaminsen, again, not the best qualifier for Benjaminsen. It's starting quite a lot earlier than we would expect, but I think she's going to be a little bit further down.
Yeah.
Simply because she started 90 seconds after Hagström. I think it's been more than 90 seconds.
Yep.
And I am right, but maybe if you compare with the likes of Basse, it is still very good. And again, very technically competent performer. Always seems to kind of keep her cool in races. And
how cool is this? Really in the map. And all of that map reading to go the same way as Hagström.
Yep, absolutely.
And that route choice, I don't think we can stress enough just how steep it is, just how many steps you have to contend with if you go left. It's really, really hard work. It's
basically because you just go so much further down and then back up again is why it's like so much trickier. And looking back, it's kind of, yeah, it's not necessarily, it is a little, in fact, it is a little bit further. All the route choices to the left are further, but it's so hard to see with the barriers in place as well. Maija Sienoja then, let's catch up with her. This is control number 4. If you're looking on the tracking, she does a 180 back down again towards the time, the one where we actually get the punch. We get the time lost, and again, a good start here from Sienna. Lots of athletes very, very close together. She's a bit more prepared, though, for this route choice, and looking very strong.
Yeah, takes that northern route choice and does it. Comfortably. Here's Cecile Calandri, a little bit quicker than Andrine Benjaminson, a little bit slower than Sarah Hagström. Those three starting in quick succession. Big hesitation here. Oh, big hesitation here from Cecile Calandri. She stood at that control for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 seconds. It's really surprising to see what you can get away with in the middle of a race like this, but a good sprint athlete and fairly young as well. We'll see how she does today.
Yeah, she took the 6th place at the World Cup sprint in Switzerland earlier this season, so her sprint form is good, and investing the time into that route choice. Eveli Karsku, the Estonian, the European medalist in the middle distance. That was on home soil last year. And she will, or a couple of years ago even, and starting her sprint campaign. Those fast steps, quick look at the map for just putting the foot on the gas and going out of the school here. Yves van Dongen, we haven't spoken about Yves van Dongen yet. The athlete from the Netherlands is the bronze medalist from the knockout sprint 2 years ago, that World Championships. I wouldn't say she's certainly better in the knockout than the individual. Yeah. Maybe not quite as good form this year, but she's
I agree.
Always
Look out for her on Tuesday
for.
for sure. She will knock someone out in that knockout sprint, I'm sure. But let's see how she's doing at this first TV control. Yeah, a little bit of time down here for Yves van Dongen. The individual sprint, like you say, perhaps not quite as high on her priorities as the knockout, as she moves very, very confidently through that control onto the south route choice.
But she only started in orienteering, I think 2017, 2018, after moving to Sweden. So a lot of these athletes, they've been doing this sport since they were children, and their parents did it. She's been brought new into the sport, and it's something we've got to celebrate, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. To see a Dutch athlete doing well, I mean, I can't recall any other Dutch orienteers, to be honest. So might be offending someone there. Here is Rita Maramorosi, the junior, in, what, 45 seconds perhaps, behind the lead of Sarah Hagström.
Yeah, and yes, still pretty decent. I think some small time losses, like compared to the leaders, but yeah.
We've had a second fastest time at the finish from Mel Bouvier, who we hardly mentioned, actually. She's snuck in ahead of Anna Deerkorn, but is 22 seconds behind that lead of Isia Basse.
Yeah, French athletes very well prepared. I wonder if they had a really good map, a really good preparation, similar courses, something like that.
Oh, I'm sure they will have done.
Inka Nurminen, another of the Finns, heading down towards this TV control, number 1, 11 seconds down. So equal with her teammate Maja Sienaya. And one of the kind of younger athletes, I think, on the team, more that we've seen kind of compete at this level in I'm sorry, I'm just getting distracted by
Small hesitation there for Bella Hayu, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is hard not to notice. I don't think it's cost her very much, actually.
No.
But unusual to see the seasoned Finn hesitating like that. And she looks to be a little way down at this second TV control. That time of Sarah Hagström is looking better and better and better as we move through this start list.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep half an eye on this tracking from Hagström. Yeah, she's on her way to the finish, I can tell you that now. She's just coming down into Princes Street Gardens very, very shortly. And yeah, it's still looking very good. I can't see too many mistakes from her. Hayu then into 12th, 46 seconds down. But no hesitation there. Let's talk this woman into the finish then. The defending European champion has had a terrible winter, has had surgery on her back, has had to start from scratch again. But is she going to go in here and take the new leading time?
So tight.
This is going to be
between Sarah Hagström and Isia Basse.
Let's have a look what the seconds are going to be. Are they going to be in her favour? She's really got to work hard there. She's checking the punch. And I'm not sure what it's going to be. Is it going to be first or second? No, the time runs late. She's going to go into second place here. And actually, in the end, a few seconds in it, 5 seconds in it. Oh, I thought it was going to be enough for Sarah Hagström. But for her, I think she's so exhausted. Let's have this a comparison then, because Hagström was significantly ahead of Basse at number 12. And this is a good indication to see. Does Basse get ahead?
Well, hang on. I think Hagström's going to be ahead here at the top of these steps. Yeah, she is.
But not... So Hagström was ahead at number 12.
Sorry, you're quite right. Yeah, yeah.
And still ahead there, but maybe not by much. But Basse overtakes her on the Royal Mile. So I wonder, maybe her route was just... It's not necessarily the route itself, but how much you're able to attack off the top of the hill and how much brain space and how much in oxygen debt you were in.
They will be exhausted at the top of that hill, and to keep pushing, to keep the intensity and to keep the map reading all tight at the end there is going to be tough.
Yep, quick look at one of the favourites, Natalia Gempeler there. Here's Alexandra Hornick then, and the pole has, for me, made big inroads this year. I think she was on a podium back in one of the World Cups, and that was a big breakthrough for me, to be honest. Yeah,
threw in a good time there at the first radio control, and yet another one. We keep saying this at the Sprint World Championships, but another one from a slightly smaller nation in terms of orienteering. Good to see Alexandra Hornick doing well here today.
So Sinoya keeping it pretty consistent. I think she's about 11 seconds down at our first TV split. That's down now, but you can see those first few spots really quite spread. So watch out for Calandri. But you see, compared to Basse, Hagström was 24 seconds ahead at this point, and now 5 seconds behind. And yeah,
it can all change in the second half of this course. Sinoya, perhaps though, a little bit too far behind for general interest at the finish.
But if she has a good route here, it's only 6 seconds behind the current leader.
Very true. Very true. Here's Andrine Benjaminsen.
Oh yeah, I wonder if something's happened here at the end, because not the best here for Benjaminsen.
He was a little bit down at the second TV control and has slipped further to the finish. Not a bad run from Andrine Benjaminsen, but she will not challenge the podium today. Here is Malin Christiansen, one of the Danish athletes that you were telling me about before we started today.
Yeah, Malin Egevind Christiansen, all the Danes having kind of taken a step up for me, I think, this year.
And that step up has led to a new fastest time at the first control.
She took 13th place, actually, in the knockout sprint in World Champs a couple of years ago on that home soil, and good results again at the World Cups. We spoke a little bit about Yves van Dongen earlier on, and her being very a very physical athlete, a very fast athlete, maybe a little bit better in that knockout sprint. And maybe, okay, if we compare to Hagström, she's behind, but maybe we need to compare to Basse or to Calandri as well, because this is like a decent middle section here for me. Although I say that, she's still got 2 controls to punch before we see her at the finish.
There's a bit of a gap back to Yves van Dongen here. I think it probably isn't going to be for her today, but as we say, always great to see that. Oh, and she's just made a small mistake there going round to the left of her. That's the library there.
I wonder if she was looking ahead at this route choice and not in the moment in the map. And that's what you've got to do in sprint orienteering. You've got to balance when you're thinking about what you're doing now, grabbing small amounts of time.
I think that's almost certainly correct. You can see this control from pretty much from the previous one. I mean, there's not very much to it, so that's got to be a mistake of just looking almost too much at the map. But will it pay off with this route choice? She's taken... Oh, and she almost runs into one of the picnic benches there. Flashes of Nathan Lawson in the World Cup. Here's Natalia Gempeler.
Yeah, he did something similar. Natalia Gempeler, she took a win in Switzerland on what is home soil now for her. She's a former Russian athlete, changed nationality to now be running for Switzerland. And I think I wonder if she comes here in the best form of her life.
I think that might just be the case. Yeah, I remember a few years ago when she ran for Russia, she was a very strong athlete, but Natalia Gempeler has had some phenomenal results for Switzerland this year.
Yeah, I feel like she might have come into her own and really developed here, but 20 seconds down, it's going to be interesting. I think it is possible for athletes to bring that back up, but she's going to have to get everything right now here.
That's a gap for sure.
Inka Nurminen, our next athlete, the Finn, to make it towards control number 12, and she's in 6th position. Again, checking this route choice through the school here. And we can head back to Ida Egevic Christiansen to start the next athlete, the final athlete to start for Denmark. She's had good results actually in the test races that were held here a couple of weeks ago. Equal third in that one. She does have a podium position in the sprint. That's from the World Cup final last year in Česká Lípa in Czechia. So some good sprint pedigree in this Danish team being very emerging here. Now the young Hungarian Victoria Marg. This is a fantastic start for Marg, who, again, one of those younger ones. She's got 2 Junior World Champs gold medals from last year.
Could be the youngest athlete in the field. I haven't checked that, but it sounds about right. Here is Venla Harju, who is not the youngest athlete in the field.
No, she is very experienced, but she is going to be behind here. Harju, she's going to be outside of that top 2 and possibly outside of the top 3 now here as well.
She'll struggle to match that time of Anna Dierkon from here.
Yeah.
A good run from Venla Harju, though.
Yeah, she punches this control here. She's got Rita Mara Morosi in her sights. It's going to be outside of the top 3, but Venla Harju going to cross the line. She wiggles around here, and it's going to be in the top 6. So Harju into 6th place. Quick shout out for Anna Toledo, still in that 5th spot for Spain.
That result is holding up very nicely. Excited to get back to the start here. This is Grace Malloy of Linlithgow near Edinburgh. Real British hope. She qualified incredibly well this morning, I thought. Back from a year and a bit, I think, abroad in America, where she did basically no orienteering at all, but she did get really quite quick.
Yeah, she basically went to the United States, as a lot of British athletes have done in terms of athletics and in orienteering, going out and running on a track and field scholarship, basically. She's got very quick, and this is near enough her home. This is basically her home city.
She will know Edinburgh inside and out, and very excited to see what she can do today. Good results at the World Cup, one of the most promising British athletes in the run-up to this competition.
But a new leading time here for Alexandra Hornig. She has really broken into fantastic sprint form this year. She was 4th in the World Cup in Switzerland earlier this year. One to watch. She has executed this incredibly well. Sandra Grosberger at the finish. She's going to be a little bit down, but she's looking for 3rd spot. This should be good here for the Latvian. Very consistent running here. Into 3rd place. Into
a medal spot for now. I think she probably won't hold on to that, but that is a good run from Sandra Grosberger. She goes for a lean down on the leader's chair there.
We've got about 4 athletes left to go. Here is the first of them, Hannah Lundberg. Again, still a young athlete in this field, but one with a lot of potential overall. Remember, a surprise World Cup win for her on home ground, where she was the first starter, and she won that middle distance. Always one we're going to remember when talking to her, but she's a great quality sprint athlete as well, although she did have to take a trip to the hospital after one of the World Cup rounds to get stitches after injuring herself there. Malin Egevic Christiansen.
Competitive time by the looks of things.
Yeah, especially as we now think about the gaps between these athletes getting a little bit bigger here at TV control number 2. We're not going to get her time at this first control. It will be the second one, which is control number I've got to remind myself, 12.
I believe, yeah.
Control number 12. If you're following along on the GPS tracking at home, she's just punched 11. This is number 12, and a good time here.
Around the time of Sarah Hagström, a little bit down on Alexandra Hornig, but of course she is still out in the terrain, so we do not know what her time at the finish will be.
Maja Sienoja next towards the finish. You can see she's already late. She's going to be outside of that top 3, and then the top 6 really is very congested. But Sienoja was seen just very consistently around all of our TV tracking points here. And she comes in towards the finish. She's going to be outside the top 10, just a bit slower than Venla Harju as well. Eyes on the finish line, and she crosses the line.
Consistent run, it's a good run from Sienoja, but that is just the level of competition here. A good consistent run might end you up outside the top 10, and here is Megan Carter-Davis.
Yeah, Megan Carter-Davis is the defending champion, and she grabs her map, heads out of the start. She qualified by winning her heat. but a lot of question marks for me over Megan Carter-Davies. She was injured this winter. She was able to do some training, but not the really high-level kind of speed training that she wanted to. She didn't run the test races a couple of weeks ago because she was already selected. So let's see what she is able to do. From one Brit to another, Grace Malloy then here. This is the split number 1, and you can see she's in 14th place. So many athletes really, really
tight
close
at
there.
that first control. 13 seconds down, nothing to worry about for Grace Malloy.
This is interesting. I wonder what's happened here with Natalia Gempler. Where is she? Oh, she is down on the time of Alexandra Hornick and losing more time here. It's going to be really interesting to see her route choice. But actually, she's so physically strong.
Right into the route choice.
That she could really do well in this last section where there's lots of climb, where you have to be fast, you have to do that climb.
There's damage to be done in that last section for sure. Here's Yves van Dongen, comes in actually, has done pretty well in that second half of the course to finish 30 seconds down, I think matching the time there of Ana Isabel Toledo, so the Spaniard and the Dutch woman on the same time there. Here's Simona Abersold, the second to last starter and certainly one of the big favourites.
Yeah, she's going to be defending her silver medal here from 2 years ago, but she did take a win at the World Cup. She does now have a world title to her name.
She does. And just the one, though. And I learned this morning that means she has fewer world titles than her dad. So she can change that today with a good run.
I think she is a big, big favourite for me. Yeah. And she's been talking again about being in the form of her life. Hannah Lundberg, look at that. 4 seconds down on Malin Egvik Christiansen.
That's a good time.
A very solid start. We know the Swedes did well in the men's class. Can they do well in the women's class? As we catch the third and final fin in towards the finish. She's not going to go into the lead. This is still a very good result, and she will be the best fin at the finish as well.
It does look that way, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
She might even still just about sneak into a medal spot. Maybe not. It's going to be very tight between her and Sandra Grossberger as those times begin to bunch up a little bit near the top of the results table as we move towards the end of this race.
But does go into 4th spot. That will be so a podium spot equal with Maëlle Beauvais, the French athlete. The podium spot then for Inka Nurminen. But our final starter today has got 19 world titles. She has been near on unbeatable for a lot of the World Orienteering Championships, but sprint is not her favourite. She's done loads of other sports in terms of preparing for this, and when we had the World Cups, she wasn't quite at that sprint sharpness. I know she'll have done a lot of work between then and now, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Here's Megan Carter-Davies then at control number 4. Next one is number 5, and we'll see what she's been able to do. And this looks like a very positive start for the Brits.
And we did see in the qualifying earlier this morning, this is going to be a new best time for Megan Carter-Davies at the first radio control.
The time doesn't stop, but equal, there we go, equal.
The time was a bit confused there, and that has caused a little bit of excitement inside our commentary box, which is, of course, strictly impartial.
We are a bit partial. I do apologise for our international audience. I don't have Jonas to stop me going on about all the Brits this time.
Here is Alina Gempele. Now, this looks like a promising time for the young Swiss athlete. As she checks this route choice, and we are seeing over and over again, these athletes really do just know what to do. You don't get to this finals without having a pretty good idea of how to orientate, and they check this route choice properly. Here's Alexandra Hornick, and oh my word, wow, look at that, that is a huge lead. She's not actually the control I thought she was, but this is still going to be very, very sizable.
So Alexandra Hornick, who took her best result at the World Cup, 4th in Switzerland, she's going to be rewarded with a brilliant, brilliant time here on the streets of Edinburgh. This is going to be a clear new leading time. Alexandra Hornick has done a fantastic run here, picking up time on the rest of the field. She's going to cross the line. She's going to have a new leading time. It's going to be by over 30 seconds. She deposes Isia Basse from the leader's chair, collapses to the floor.
Oh, and now we see what some of these stronger athletes can do in the second half of the race. And here's one of them, Simona Abersold.
Yeah, let's see where the time stops then for Simona Abersold. And I think
nothing
that's
between her
equal.
and Megan Carter-Davies.
And Malin Egvik Christiansen as well. So equal times there as Alexandra Hornick from Poland recovers from her run. again, straight back into the map. Let's have a look then at the routes here from Alexandra Hornick. Goes back up and around here and takes this kind of S curve here down the steps. But that is the gap. That is the gap back to between first and second place as this race begins to hot up. We nearly had all of the athletes at TV control number 1. We're just waiting for this woman, for Tova Alexanderson, and she is, I think, on her way towards control number 4 at this moment.
I did wonder from the GPS if there might have been a slight mistake from Tova Alexanderson early on, but it's very hard to tell, to be honest, with these tall buildings. We'll see the time soon, and it might be about to make me look very silly.
Yeah, it really might, and she is very...
Oh, goodness, no, she is not punch number 4. She has come up onto the Royal Mile. This is not a great route choice from Tova Alexanderson. I don't think she will match the time of Megan Carter-Davis and co at the first radio control, though she will not be very far behind. She never is. It's Tova Alexanderson.
Yeah, this blue route is a little bit further. It also has the steps up this climb, and we can see her time so tight then here on this equal time.
That is the last 4 starters, all on exactly the same time there at that first TV control.
Yeah, so it's Alexanderson, Abersold, Carter-Davis and Marlon Egervig Christensen all on exactly the same time. Let's look at Grace Malloy. She takes a look at the full map here.
This is a good run from Grace Malloy. Look at the names that she's coming in around here.
Yeah, she should be happy with this. I wonder which way she's going to go, and she goes through the school. It looks to be very good. You can see she's unfolded the whole map to get a good look at this route here.
Will those track and field legs serve her well up the hill? She has to hike up those steps. Let's see.
But I wonder if she's being caught here by Hannah Lundberg. We're going to get the time compared to Grace Malloy. So they've got a 90-second start interval, haven't they?
Yeah, and that's not 90 seconds for my money. Here's Natalia Gempele.
This is going to be a new leading. This will be a new leading time. Gempele has absolutely smashed the last part of this race, and this is where she's a step apart of some of the rest of the field. She's going to be rewarded. She was not in a leading position at Team
She certainly wasn't. She was 20 seconds down, and I think we said she's still in it, but drifting. Well, she's not drifting now. That is, well, actually, perhaps a little bit of frustration there from Natalia Gempele.
Yeah, she wears her heart on her sleeve, and you can tell she's not 100% happy with that run at all.
I do think, though, the way this course has been planned, almost no athlete is going to be 100% happy with their run. Is that Hannah Lundberg in a big lead there?
That is Hannah Lundberg in a big lead.
Has she punched the 12th control?
We didn't see her punch it in the picture.
I'm a bit worried she might have just run straight down off the drive onto this long route choice.
No.
Surely not. There's too many controls in between. Yeah.
She didn't look at the control.
Oh, there's someone saying she didn't punch the control that I heard.
Some indication that she might have
Let's have a replay.
Here.
She's just running straight past the barrier, and she's missed it out. An easy control.
And that's a big blow from Hannah Lundberg. And how often do you see
in the lead
that in sprint orienteering? You get your head into the long leg, and you run straight past the easy control just before it.
So let's look at her tracking, because Hornick was, I think, still is in the lead at this point, and Lundberg, you can see ahead. She takes a good route choice into control number 9. She's fast. She's looking very strong. And just runs past it.
Oh, wow. And what a way for Hannah Lundberg to exit this race.
You can tell she's been pushing it really hard, right?
Yeah, yeah. You don't make that mistake unless you are really, really pushing hard in oxygen debt. You just have to look up from number 11. The control is right there.
And this is why sprint orienteering is so dramatic, because you have to be running so fast to be in with a chance of doing this. But if you run too fast, just a fraction too fast, you're making mistakes.
It's all about that risk reward, and unfortunately for Hannah Lundberg, it looks like that was too big of a risk. Is this perhaps Megan Carter-Davis running around the drive?
Yep, it should be, because she did start 90 seconds after Hannah Lundberg, so we can catch her here. But she is behind then. She is behind that time of Alexandra Hornick, and we've still got another couple of controls to go. So she was in a joint lead early on, but lost some time here.
Alexandra Hornick, by the way, who I think finished well while we weren't looking there, into second place, just 4 seconds behind Natalia Gempele.
So Megan Carter-Davis is dropping time here, and maybe this is just not quite at in the form that she was in a couple of years ago where she took that world title. It's very unusual in a sprint to see people's numbers off their shirts.
It looks like she's run into a tree.
Well, there are bits of vegetation in there.
There are.
There's one little gap as you go into the school. It's really, really hard to see.
That could well be it, actually. You could easily get a stick in behind your bib there.
So Carter Davies only just inside the top 10 as we see Simona Aebersold here. Simona Aebersold catching up, I think, here on Megan Carter Davies.
Yeah, this looks like this might be something special from Aebersold, although I don't think she's going to get to this control ahead of Alexandra Hornick, so she will have to do some work in the second half of this race if she is to come back in the lead.
We saw Natalia Gempeler pull it back.
We've seen it done.
We could see it as well from Aebersold. She knows how to pace these races as well, and let's see what she does.
And she's so strong. I heard an interview recently where she said she thought she'd sorted out her physical shape. I don't know what she thought the problem was with it before. I think you would be concerned.
Well, so this winter she's had a great winter. The winter before she did have some injuries and some problems. So she's had a much more less disrupted one here. No.
Sorry, as I interrupted, but she's had a little hesitation to check that the route is indeed very good, and on she goes, Simona Aebersold into the final kind of third half of this course.
Yeah, in second place with one athlete still to come. The last starter, who is always a big favourite.
Who's that athlete then?
Oh, it's only the 19-time world champion, Tove Alexandersson, who
she
already
might have something to say
titles.
About proceedings. This isn't her here, is it?
No, this is Hannah Lundberg.
This is Hannah Lundberg, sorry.
Yeah. And she's coming down the steps. She's actually, I think, on her way to the 15th control. Here's Alexandersson then, and we get a chance to see what the Swedish athlete has done. She goes a different way compared to some of the others. I think it's a little bit slower, but only like by a second.
Yeah, and actually it looks like this could be a new lead for Alexandersson. We haven't seen many athletes go this way. It's hard to know the unmistakable style of Tove Alexandersson. And no, I think she might just be a little behind Alexandra Hornick, but it is going to be, of those last starters at least, one of the stronger times. Oh, a bit of a hesitation here. Maybe, actually.
This is interesting that she stopped there.
Yeah, that is not where we've seen almost any athlete stop. I wonder why she started to plan so early. I don't think it's going to be a big issue for her, unless she needs to stop here as well. And, well, she really doesn't seem to be all over this route choice, but she's moving on now as we see our last shot of the brown cow.
And 1 second between Alexandersson and Aebersold as we look at the standings here at Split 2. Alexandra Hornick currently in second place behind Natalia Gempeler. So actually there's some opportunities for some of these other athletes, for Tove Alexandersson, for Simona Aebersold, maybe for the Danish athlete as well, as we've got to look at Natalia Gempeler. 20 seconds down there is our current leader at the finish. Grace Malloy.
Grace Malloy, here she is.
Here she is then, the athlete from almost from Edinburgh. She grew up just outside of here, but she is going to be down then on that time of Gempeler. Now is a question of where she gets in amongst the rankings as Grace Malloy pumps her arms here on this section. She's a good kind of track and field athlete as well. She's a few seconds down now, and Grace Malloy, is she going to get into the third spot here? I think this is good enough.
There is a massive noise in the arena for Grace Malloy.
Malin Eggerby Christensen. Grace Malloy, the Scottish athlete, into the finish here. Look at the seconds on the screen. It's going to be super, super close for third. The line's coming. Where is she going to be? She's going to be just outside that third place. Fourth place there for Grace Malloy, and a very strong run there here from the bridge.
I hope you can hear the atmosphere at home, because that was quite something for Grace Malloy. The home crowd delighted to see such a strong run. That is going to be a really, really great result for Grace at the end of the day.
Here's Hannah Lundberg, and I think she's quick, but it's not going to be what she will want to hear at the finish here, because she has missed out control number 12. We saw it on the broadcast. She looks incredibly quick, but you've got to get all the controls.
You do have to go to all the controls. That is rule number 1 as Hannah Lundberg heads up towards this penultimate control. I suspect she probably doesn't know that she's missed it. This could be very, very hard for her to take. As we see the time, it probably is going to be good enough to have been maybe a leading time, maybe second. We'll see how quickly she does this run in.
Very close then,
Natalia Gempeler, but like we say, we are pretty sure this is not going to count for Hannah Lundberg.
No, she's going to be equal position here.
Wow.
Or 1 second behind, but it is A missed punch then for Hannah Lamberg, and absolutely gutting for her. I don't know if she quite knows yet.
I don't think she does. At least she doesn't have anyone coming up and celebrating a new best time. Yeah, tough to watch when we know, and we think she probably doesn't.
And she's an athlete with so much potential as well, and
yeah,
gutting.
It's gutting. It's really, really gutting.
She'll have her chance. I'm sure she will have her chance.
She has many, many world championships ahead of her, and I would not be even slightly surprised to see medals in the mix there. We get the TV crew following her quite cruelly, I think, to the results. She was trained a legend of Scottish orienteering here, handling the IT with Robin. And some concern here.
Now she finds out.
Look at the map.
Yeah,
what else can you do?
She knows that.
Wow.
She's not going to try and contest it.
Oh, wow. And that is just the worst feeling. I don't think there's anything quite as bad as that in this sport, as to run well and then find out you've mispunched.
So yeah, here's a confirmation then, as we see the tracking there. She just ran past the control. We saw it on the broadcast. I mean, obviously she's going to try and say that she went there or something, like, you know, she doesn't quite know what's going on at the...
Yeah. You give it anything, any attempt to contest this that you can, but I really don't think there's anything that Annenberg can do to save that result. Very, very difficult. You see here the Swedish team coach having a little conversation. I think he's probably being told, no chance, pal. Here's Megan Carter-Davies.
Yeah, the defending world champion is making her way in towards the finish, and can she get into the top 6? Maybe not. She's going to be maybe outside here. She's not going to be the best Brit today. And Megan Carter-Davies in towards the finish. She's going to get a big ovation here. She just checks the punch. She's going to fight all the way for the line. Not quite as good as her world title a couple of years ago, but she's going to be in the top 10 here at the moment, into 7th place, and with only 2 athletes to go, that is still a top 10 performance.
That is a great run from Megan Carter-Davies. Take nothing away from it after a difficult winter as well. And I think, from a British perspective, which I know we're not really supposed to bring, that does also confirm Grace Molloy on the podium, if I've got my maths right. Here's Simona Abersold.
Simona Abersold, this is looking good for her to take a new leading time with 1 athlete still to go. Abersold into the finish line. She's going to go in ahead of her teammate Natalia Gempela. The 2 of them will be guaranteed a medal then here at the finish. Abersold into the lead, crosses the line, a new leading time, 16:29. She collapses here. The 2 of the athletes in the picture there, Abersold and Gempela, guaranteed a medal.
And there, already on the first day of this World Championships, is that 3rd Swiss medal. They have reached their target very comfortably. No converts, no problem.
Collapsing then here as we catch up with Tove Alexanderson, who throws herself down these steps. She's got to take the few curves here, these last few controls in the park, and I can't see any mistakes from Tove Alexanderson on this race.
Is this 90 seconds? This is going to be...
I think it's looking good here.
Look at the clock.
Look at that, 50 seconds to go till she comes in towards the end. And she has clearly sharpened up her sprint form in the last few months, in the last few weeks. Tove Alexanderson to make it 20 world titles. Tove Alexanderson will come into the finish here. She's got a clear lead now over the rest of the field. She worked hard on these last few meters and is applauded here as she takes yet another world title for Sweden.
It's comfortable in the end for Tove Alexanderson. That is a legend in action right there. Wow, another medal, another gold medal for Tove Alexanderson. All she does is win.
She is supreme at this sport, and she knows how to peak at the right time, didn't always have the best runs at this World Cup, and it is yet another world title. I mean, this woman just keeps going from strength to strength. She's an ultimate all-round orienteer. And she takes the win. And especially with so many of the athletes really challenging her, she knows how much hard work she's had to put in. This is going to mean a huge amount to Tove Alexandersson.
A lot of narrative earlier in the season about who might be able to challenge her. Was it going to come from Simona Aebersold, Megan Carter-Davis, maybe some of the Danes, Hannah Lundberg? But on the day, she's put all of that discussion to bed. This is a comfortable win for Tove Alexandersson.
And I know that Tove Alexandersson, she's one of those athletes that's been quite vocal about the crowds and holding sprint races in big cities. So, well, it might have bothered her, but it certainly hasn't stopped her from taking the win. She just gets the punch out there.
I think that's the nod of approval from Sheila Strain that means you're the world champion. That's how you find out. Oh, there's a bit of discussion. She wants her splits back. Who wouldn't? You probably just won the World Championships.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any indication that she's mispunched, but we will watch her all the way through here just in case.
Yeah, absolutely. You only know it's done when you get the printout. It's just taking a little bit of time, and she checks them up here. I think the Swedish team are being extra careful now.
I think so, yeah.
Because of the disqualification from Hannah Lundberg. She would have, I think, been in a bronze medal position, a joint bronze medal position with Natalia Gempler there. But she's already taking a look at the map, at the route choices, at the tricky section.
Straight into a debrief with the coach. That is someone who loves their orienteering. I want to know what the best route choices were, and I've only just finished about, what, 20 seconds ago.
So we can look at the final results then, the top 10. Look, already you can see 3 Swiss in there, 2 Swedes, 2 Brits as well. But Tove Alexandersson, in the end, 16 minutes and 14 seconds. A great establishment for Alexandra Hornick in 4th, Malin Egvin Christiansen in 5th as well. Lots of athletes represented. And Isia Basse back into a top 10 position after has taken a previous world medal. You can take a look there. Anna Dracon was sitting on our leader's chair for so much of this time, just outside of the top 10 there. And in fact, 4 athletes equal on that time, including the young Hungarian Victoria Marg. A few casualties though, Andrine Benjaminsen quite a long way down into 23rd, much lower than we'd expect for her. Likewise for Teresa Yanasikova, both of those with lots of potential. And you can see quite a few of the Aussies, the Kiwis. Look at Nia Schingler there, young Aussie athlete into 33rd, and Laura Robertson there, and some of our Brits in there as well. But look, a few disqualifications.
Hannah Lundberg and Cecile Calandre, who we thought had a pretty promising time at one stage, but I suppose we didn't get the TV pictures because we knew she has been disqualified.
Yeah, very tricky time for her there, as we see all those 45 athletes. So let's have a recap then of the GPS tracking. It's really hard to get the tracking in amongst these alleyways, but that's what makes it such an exciting race. You can see the differences. Alexandersson already ahead, I think, straight out of the start. And these athletes are only separated by 20 seconds at the end. We'll see some of these different route choices.
That top route from Alexandersson, we said at the time, not the best. Doesn't matter. Not the quality.
Yeah, she can take not the best route choices. She can make, well, I mean, we've seen her make big mistakes in World Championships before and still win them. Yeah. So she's looking very good.
Her Czech sprint win from, what was that, 2021 comes to mind. Oh my word, she's gone through Greyfriars. I mean, we've seen so many races ended in those churchyards, and she's just halfway through a World Championship winning run.
But she's not losing too much distance, actually, by doing that.
No, it's actually not a bad route. It's a route that I picked out as one that someone might take. Not optimal. Going backwards out of 8 is surely better, but it's worked out fine for her in the end.
A bit more even between Alexandersson and Aebersold here at TV2, and then let's have a look at these route choices. It'd be great to see what they do. Go back through the bar, the cafe that's been opened up. And actually these 2 route choices here, we think quite even, but maybe a little bit better. You've not just come off that climb then as you go into control at number 14. Not as many people making the mistake into 15 that we saw on the men's. In fact, actually, Alexandersson, a big hesitation there.
Yeah, she thinks about it.
She just stopped there and changed her position.
Actually, all 3 of these athletes take that right-hand route choice to 16. We don't think it's optimal.
Right, let's then hear from the new world champion. Let's hear from Tove Alexandersson on another win from her.
And I'm here with Tove Alexandersson. Tove, congratulations on your 20th World Championship title. How does that feel?
Yeah, thank you. It feels amazing, especially to share it together with Martin Wegborn in the men's class. he is a huge part of this victory also for me, because he is so good at the preparations for sprint and really share it with us other in the team. So yeah, it feels amazing to take this victory and to take a double.
And it looked like a tricky course, many short legs, many route choices, many barriers. How was your experience out there?
Yeah, it was super tricky and I had really big problems, but I just tried to stay focused. Even I did many mistakes. I thought that I could run on one place, and then when I come there, oh no, I can't run here, so what should I do now? So it was it felt like I always had to change the plan, so it was not a good feeling during the race, but you are just so focused on the next control and to do it good. So yeah, I'm super happy. Yeah.
You've been beaten sometimes in the World Cup earlier this season. Now you're back on top. What does it mean for you coming here to the World Champs and winning this title?
Yeah, actually I have always had like the World Championship as my main goal, but this year I hadn't, because I will feel like the forest orienteering is what I enjoy most, and I want to focus more on the forest. So I felt like, okay, everything can happen. So I'm a bit surprised that I did it so well to be able to win, but I maybe hadn't accepted that. But yeah, no, it just feels great.
And there are 2 races more to come here in the World Championships week in Edinburgh. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it feels good. My shape is real good, so I hope I can do some more good races this week.
We'll see, Tove. Congratulations on your win today.
Thank you.
Great to hear from the winner, from Tove Alexandersson, and someone who's been commentating now for a decade on World Championships. It's great to see she's got a lot better at the interviews, because we get really interesting insight into what is going through her mind.
Absolutely, yeah. And to hear that she, felt she had made some mistakes, similar to Martin Regborn, felt that she probably wasn't going to target this race, it wasn't going to be for her, but she is just world class on a different level to these other girls.
And for me, it's the focus. Her talking about the focus, being able to do it when it matters and just focus on every control, go back to the orienteering basics. And she's made mistakes here, but she's physically strong, she's so technically strong. And another title, diving across the line in true Tove Alexandersson fashion. And these two, they're good friends here, Natalia Gempela and Tove Alexandersson. So it's no surprise to see the bronze medalist Natalia Gempela be the first to congratulate her with the Swedish flags. They fly today in Edinburgh, and they fly with good reason, because it is a double victory, as Tove Alexandersson mentioned. And for her to give the credit then actually to Martin Regborn straight away in that first answer, for putting in a lot of the work during the preparations for these races, where actually Tove Alexandersson has been doing a lot of altitude training, doing a lot of other sports in the winter as well, and sharing it with the team. You can tell the Swedes have prepared.
That is quite telling. There's always someone in the national team who is the map nerd, and it sounds like it might be Martin Regborn.
Yeah. Natalia Gempela, another medal. I did think she might have had the potential to win this one, but Natalia Gempela being rewarded with the bronze medal here today. It is not quite her best result on the Sprint World Championships. Simona with another silver, and another gold. And actually, if you'd have talked about these 3 before the race, these 3 for me were my big favourites, and it's gone to form, hasn't it?
It absolutely has, yeah. No surprises really in this top 3. If you look at the 4th, 5th and 6th, which I'm sure we'll see in a moment, some newer names in there, but this is a pretty classic women's sprint podium in this era of World Orienteering.
And it shows they perform on so many different sprint terrains. We have had incredibly different races this season, from the kind of suburban area in Switzerland, the tricky kind of some sort of forest sprint races in Italy, and then this again here in the heart of the capital in Scotland, with a lot of tourists, a lot of tricky sections as well. It was absolutely brilliant to see these athletes. So we have a rest day tomorrow, and then we will be back with the sprint relay from the Riccarton campus here at WOC University. A different challenge among the university campus to be faced by the athletes here, but we've had some fantastic, close and epic racing. We've got 2 more races still to come at these World Championships here from Edinburgh. We hope you have enjoyed these races, enjoyed the spectacle of it, enjoyed the route choices and the technical orienteering here, and we will be back then with the knockout, with the sprint relay and the knockout sprint later on. Thanks very much.